let's finish off the weekend. Let's finish off the weekend, guys. Hey guys, how you going today on BKRsport? We are live as the Newcastle Knights are going to be taking on the Penrith Panthers in the second last game of the round. Obviously, big day yesterday with a couple of blowouts, but also an incredible game between the Warriors and the Dolphins. It's been a very interesting round full of very high-scoring games. It really has been. It's been just ridiculous in regards to the amount of points that we are currently seeing in the game of rugby league. It's all over the shop, man. So, look, I would really like today to be a bit of a difference to the earlier games where we do see some unreal defense and we have to see teams earn their tries through really good attack, through the good defense. But, look, I don't know about it because the Panthers, they have a great chance here to go to Newcastle and get a solid win, and Manly Eels could have about 7 million points in that game. They could potentially have more points in that game than the whole round combined so far. The whole round combined in the Manly versus Eels game. So that's going to be a absolute slaughterfest of a point-scoring game from probably both teams, to be fair. But this game here today between the Knights and the Panthers, look, I'd like to see the Knights turn up. They've had a pretty good season so far, except for the last two games. And that's what makes you worried. That's why they are currently here on fraudulent in ninth position. They were up here. They were up a couple of weeks ago, about 2-3 weeks ago. They were in third position. It was a second versus third, Tigers versus Knights game. And then unfortunately the Knights got pumped by the Tigers, and you know, that's all she wrote, really. You know, since then, they've held a little bit of a slip-up, where they've then gone on to lose 38-24 to the Roosters. Now, they were leading at half-time against the Roosters, I think 24-14, but then lost 38-24. But the Roosters are obviously a pretty good team at the moment. They are flying. They're up there in the, I think they're in fifth now, aren't they? Yeah, they are. They're in fifth position after that huge win for the Rabbitohs yesterday, and also for the Warriors, but the Knights need to get back on track, and they are back at home where this year, I don't believe they've lost. No, they have lost one game at home, which was to the Warriors. Outside of that, they've actually only played 2 games at McDonald's Stadium. Yeah. Because the Cowboys game at Las Vegas was a home game for the Knights in round 1, but then in round 3, McDonald's Stadium against the Warriors, and then round 5 against the Raiders at McDonald's Stadium. So they've only actually played 2 games there. So they're actually 50-50 here so far this season. It is still super early. It is. But at the end of the day, the Knights aren't sitting down there in last position like they were last year. They should be happy regardless, but you do need to start getting back into the winner's circle. However, today is the hardest time to expect to get back into the winner's circle, and you actually have a really difficult 2 games here, because you play the Panthers, and then you play the Rabbitohs next week. And the Rabbitohs obviously playing some good football right now. They just went down to Melbourne, slapped them up. Now, Melbourne aren't a great team this year, but still, it's the confidence of the name of the Melbourne Storm that the Rabbitohs are going to bounce off. That was their first win down there in like 27 years or something like that. The Storm may be in second last, but it's still the Melbourne Storm as a name, as a brand, as a franchise. So I'm telling you, that's going to be a very difficult game for you next week. However, these 2 games are just ridiculous. But then you get to take on the Dragons and the Titans and the Eels, so and the Storm as well. So you're pretty happy with your next 4 weeks after this 2-week slap up. But let's get into the 2-team lineups here for today. I've had not much sleep. Obviously, I was up extremely late last night watching the Manchester City FA Cup game in the semi-final against Southampton. I had a heart attack, but I survived because we did get over the top in the end. But I've had very little sleep. So if I do look tired, it's because I am. But we're cracking on. We're cracking on, because we're the greatest team in the damn world. Alright guys, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into the 2-team lineup. So the Knights, they come into this game from 9th position. Panthers come into this game from 1st position, and this is at McDonald's Stadium in Newcastle. The ins for the Knights, Asul Kepoa and James Schiller, with the outs being Greg Martiu and Peter Holler. The fullback is Fletcher Sharp, with the wingers being Dominic Young and James Schiller. I think this is his first time into the Knights team for this season. The centres are Dane Gagai and Fletcher Hunt. You go to the 5'8", Sandon Smith, with the halfback being Dylan Brown. Front row forwards are Jacob Saifidi, who is the captain, and Pasami Saulo, with the number 9 being Phoenix Crossland. Back row, Francis Manololua and Jermaine McEwen, with the 13 being Matty Croker. And the interchange is Trey Mooney, Harrison Graham, Cody Hopwood, Elijah Salesa Leo Moana, Asul Kepoa, and Kyle McCarthy, with the coach being Justin Holbrook. Interesting to see that Trey Mooney has dropped to the bench here. You know, he's still obviously cracking on along the bench, but it's interesting to see that Pasami Saulo is fancied to start rather than come off the bench. When I do think that Saulo, 1 second. I do think that Saula has done a really good job coming off the bench and providing some of that impact, whilst Trey Mooney's been pretty solid there for the Newcastle Knights. So I'm very interested to see why they've made that decision to change that up. But, let's see what Holbrook has up his sleeve. Obviously a very attacking coach, and Pasami Saulo is actually probably a very attacking prop, and like I said, he's done really well off the bench in my opinion. So it is interesting to see that they are trying to remove that impact, and they're just trying to make it immediate rather than when the players are starting to get a bit more tired later on in the game. I personally wouldn't have done that, but we'll see how it does work out. The Knights do have a chance to turn up here and show a little bit about what they have to offer in 2026. Again, they've had a pretty good season so far. It's contextual based, however, because a lot of teams would probably, on their own context, look at it and go, it's a bit of whatever. But from the Knights' perspective, they'd be pretty happy. 28-18 against the Cowboys, 36-16 against Manly. Then they lost to the Warriors 38-12. They beat the Bulldogs 24-16. 32-12 win over the Raiders. Lost the Tigers 42-22 and lost the Roosters 38-24. So from a Knights perspective, they're like, we got some wins on the board. Went on in last place. We're happy with that. Hopefully we can do something this year, but at least we're not in last. Other teams will look at this and they'll say, well, the Cowboys, we all know that even though they're up there quite high on the table, they're quite a dodgy team right now. They're giving up a ridiculous amount of points, and I'm actually surprised. I think everyone's surprised with how high they are, considering their games. If you've actually watched their games, the Cowboys aren't exactly a spectacular team overall. Then you've got the Manly, who were 0-3 to start the season when they played them. Warriors, they're going well. They lost well to them. The Bulldogs, they're not even in the top 10 right now. The Bulldogs are currently situated in 11th position, which is crazy to think about. They are only 2 points away from the Dolphins, the Titans, the Raiders, and the Eels. And if the Eels win today, they could go equal with them. So the Bulldogs are in an absolute mess. And that's why you look at that and you go, well, it's a result, but also, the Bulldogs aren't going well. They beat the Raiders, who are in third last, or fourth last actually now. Are they fourth last or third? Yeah, they're fourth last. They're in 14th position. Which is a bit of whatever overall. And then you got the Tigers, who are playing well. They got beaten well by them, 42-22. And the Roosters, who are playing well, they got beaten well by them, 38-24. So that's why I say, from an outsider's perspective, from other clubs' perspectives, you're just like, well, these results that they've had are quite expected for a team that is not last, but is still not in that top 8 right now. Even though they looked really good in certain games, they have really slipped off the wagon. And the big thing that I've noticed from the Newcastle Knights this year is that if they have the ball, they have a really good chance to score. I am getting a very strong Gold Coast Titans 2021 vibe about this Newcastle Knights team. And the reason I say this is because Justin Holbrook was obviously the coach back then. When we were in 2021, the Titans were all attack, but the defense wasn't there. They would give up a lot of second half comebacks. Well, last week we saw a massive second half comeback for the Sydney Roosters against the Newcastle Knights. They're up 24-14 at half time, and they didn't get it going into the second half. So I did see a very big reminiscence from 2021 era of the Titans there. Titans did actually make the finals that year. They came in 8th. They got knocked out first week. But you can tell with this Newcastle Knights team, if they've got the ball, they're probably going to score. But if they don't have the ball, there is a good chance they're going to concede. Because this team's defense isn't exactly spectacular. Even though, when you look at the ladder and you look at the points against this season, 180. So they've given up more than the Panthers, the Warriors, the Tigers, the Roosters, the Rabbitohs, the Broncos, Manly, the Bulldogs, the Titans. If you give up more points than the Titans, the problem. And you have played the same amount of games. And then that's actually about it. So you're actually in 10th for defense. And in regards to attack, you're on 178, which is behind the Panthers, the Warriors, the Tigers, the Roosters, the Broncos, the Cowboys, equal with Manly, the Sharks, and the Melbourne Storm. So you are also in 10th. So you are actually directly reflective of where you are on the table at 9th position. It's a really fair marker for where you are at right now, because both your attack and your defense is essentially in that area that you are. I think even the attack is equal 9th, because I forgot to compare it with Manly. So overall, this Knights team is playing to exactly where their ladder position is, and it does make sense. But however, it does make it very, very difficult to see them taking down a Panthers team here today, who are dominating in a lot of the other statistics. But let's get into the Panthers team lineup. So Casey McLean and Jack Cole are in, with Mitch Kenny and Sione Whanua being out. Casey McLean, that is a massive in for them. He's been unbelievable when he's been playing for them. Mitch Kenny is a massive out because he is the defensive stalwart, a great nine who just really gets that line sorted and keeps them moving along. So that is a big loss for them. The fullback is Dylan Edwards, with the wingers being Thomas Jenkins and Brian To'o. Centers have Paul Alamotti and Casey McLean. The 5'8 is Blaze Slungy, with Nathan Cleary as the captain, and then you go to the front row forwards of Moses Leota and Lindsay Smith. The number 9 is Freddie Lussick. Back row is Zai Papali'i and Luke Garner, with the 13 being Zai Yo. And the interchange is Jack Cogger, Scotty Sorensen, Kalani Going, Billy Phillips, Isaac Tungo, and Jack Cole, with the coach being Ivan Cleary. The only issue that I see with this Panthers team comes down to the 9 of Freddie Lussick, but even when we had that potential issue a couple of weeks back when Mitch Kenny wasn't there, Freddie Lussick ended up scoring a try, and the Panthers ended up absolutely dominating the game. That's this Panthers team. They're a juggernaut, man, and it has it all written over it that this should be an absolute slap up from them. They have had a couple of interesting weeks in the last 2 weeks where they've not been at their most spectacular by any means. Obviously, they lost to the Canterbury Bulldogs a couple of weeks back, 32-16, which is just so random because that's the only good result the Dogs have had so far this season. Before that, they beat the Melbourne Storm 50-10, but everyone is beating the Melbourne Storm right now. And then last week, well, look, the Dolphins in the last couple of weeks have showed a lot of good signs. They lost 23-22 to the Panthers last week in a really close one. And then this week, obviously, lost to the Warriors 20-18. Now, the Panthers are up there in first position. The Warriors are up there in second position. So if you are a Dolphins fan, that is really exciting. I think that's really exciting, especially now that you're taking on the Melbourne Storm next week. It's really exciting for you that you might be able to get back into the winner's circle and put yourself up there into the big dog caliber, because you've been making it really close here with 2 really good teams so far this season. However, back to the Panthers, that result wasn't unbelievable for them on its own merit. But if you look at it from a teams who probably deserve to lose the game and still win the game, that's championship worthy. That's championship caliber. And that's what I look at from that game between the Dolphins and Panthers. It just shows to me that even when things are going wrong for the Panthers, they're looking clunky, they're not looking at their best, they still find a way to win the game. So that is something that I took from that anyway. But we'll see how it does pan out here today. Even though the Panthers in the last couple of weeks have looked shaky, I do fully expect them to bounce back and to run a bit of a muck here, because I just don't know if the Knights are going to be able to handle the pressure from their own 20. The Knights need the ball, like I said, and if they don't have the ball, they just probably simply aren't going to win. But they probably just simply aren't going to score. And that might sound obvious, but they are a really steroid-injected team for this thought process. It's on a much bigger level, where if they don't have the ball, they're probably going to get pumped. So they need as much ball as they possibly can today. And are you going to expect that against the Panthers? Probably not. However, the Panthers were in Darwin last week, and it was extremely humid, and they got over the line at the end, but it went all the way into the past the 80 minutes for an extra time there. So how is their body going to be feeling? I'm not too sure. It's going to be a tough one for them. However, the Dolphins went the distance yesterday against the Warriors and obviously lost, but they went the distance and they were the other team in Darwin last week. So I do still fully expect the Panthers just to get back into a strong winning way. Like, they've already got that win last week, but a strong winning way. Unless the Knights can turn up from the start, because the Panthers are a heavy dominant team in the first half. When you got to pick them off is the second half. If the Knights, you can get plenty of ball in the second half, you actually probably could come back on the Panthers. They're not a team that a second half lead is a guarantee right now. The Dolphins did actually come back from down quite well last week. Yes, they still lost, but they came back from quite well down. The Broncos last year in the finals did the same. We saw it a couple of times last year, a lot of times last year in the second half of the season, where this Panthers team can give up a lead in the second half. So you need to keep it close in the first half, and then you can win this game. If you're losing by anything less than like 10, 12 points, the Knights have every opportunity to come back in this game. However, the Knights aren't necessarily a second half team right now, as we saw last week against the Roosters. So a bit of an interesting one, an intriguing one to think about. But I am going to take the Panthers here. I do think that they should get the job done. I'm actually going to surprisingly go 1-12. even though they could win this game by a mozza, and I need Nathan Cleary to kill it here today for my Supercoach draft team. I need him to absolutely slap it in. So I would rather the Panthers win this game 13 plus. Because that means he's probably had an absolute rip snorter of a game. But I'm going to back in a little bit of an askew one here and go Panthers by 1 to 12. I just feel like they've had a couple of tough weeks. Their second halves aren't perfect. Their first halves are great. If the Knights can limit that, still got the Panthers to win, but in a close one. Anything can happen. The NRL is just all over the shop, man. It's so exciting in regards to you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to win. You think you know everything. You think you know what you're talking about, and then you don't know what you're talking about. You do know what you're talking about, but it makes you think you don't know what you're talking about, but it's just the state of the game right now. I would say that it's not as quality as we've seen in other years, because we are seeing just really poor defense across the board, and we're seeing a lot of points overall, which purists probably don't really like, but the casuals would really, really be liking that one. So it is getting in a newer audience for sure, and if you're a purist, you just need to stick by the game and obviously stick by your team realistically, but obviously I would prefer to see a lot less tries and more of those 8-6 grindy games that we saw from the Panthers Bulldogs last year, or the 14-12 grand final, the Sharkies versus the Storm. That was unbelievable. It was a low-scoring, just absolute slapfest. It was unbelievable to watch, and those kind of games are the ones that I really enjoy the most. Again, I love rugby league, and I love it anyway, but I just would really prefer to see a lot better defense overall across all the teams, but let's see how it pans out today. So I'm taking the Panthers. I'm going to go askew here and go 1 to 12, but there's an entire world that win 13 plus, and if the Knights can keep it close at halftime, there is a chance they could come back, even though they're a team that are susceptible to comebacks themselves. But in regards to the ladder, we've got the Panthers in first position. They're on 12 points. They're equal with the Warriors, the Tigers, and the Roosters right now. Their points differential is the best with plus 135. And then you've got the Warriors at plus 86, the Tigers at plus 82, and the Roosters at plus 37. They've obviously fixed their points differential a lot more after their absolute beatdown of the Dragons yesterday on Anzac Day. If the Panthers win this game, they will go to outright first. They'll be on 14 points, the only team there. And it will make it very, very difficult for the teams below them to catch them in the next couple of weeks, because their points differential is so far above where they're at right now. So that will effectively be a 2-game lead for the Panthers in a lot of ways. Even though it'll be only just the one game, their points differential is just really good with the plus 135. If they lose this game, however, they would have to lose by about 60. No, 50 points to go below the Warriors. It's not happening. So if the Panthers lost by 50, they'd go below the Warriors. That's it. If they went below the Warriors, they'd probably go below the Tigers too, because they're on plus 82. You just need to lose by 54. It's not happening. So essentially, you're just going to become first this week if you do lose, but that means that you're very susceptible to the Warriors, the Tigers, and the Roosters next week, where the Warriors get to play the Eels, the Tigers get to play the most scam team of all time, the Sharks, and the Roosters play the Broncos. It just brings it back into the equation where you could fall out of that first spot despite how amazing you looked across this first 7 weeks. Well, across the first 5 weeks, what I should say, before that Bulldogs loss, you would be susceptible to dropping off in the next couple of weeks, and maybe even next week if you did lose this game here today. The Knights, on the other hand, they need to get back to winning ways. This is a tough game to see that, and so is next week. If the Knights are to win this game, they would go above Manly, but Manly do play the Eels right after this. We'll be live for that one as well. Manly's points differential is plus 38. Knights are on minus 2. They're also, alongside the Sharks, on minus 6. The Bulldogs on minus 33. If the Knights win, they would go equal with the Broncos and the Cowboys. They would need, if they win this game just in general, they go above the Cowboys into 7th position. Now, it's crazy that the Cowboys won their game this week and still may finish outside of the top 8, despite the fact that they went all the way up into 4th position with a win, and now they're just slowly getting picked off and dropping back down the table. But if the Knights win, they go above them, and that would come down to, again, if Manly lost, or if the Knights can win by 22 points or more, they would go above the Broncos. I highly doubt that, and I wouldn't even be considering the Rabbitohs at the plus 30 there. So ultimately, if you win this, I do think Manly may win. That's a tough game after this. I do think Manly may win, but I would expect them the Knights to go into 8th, is what I would say, if Manly were to win. So 8th place with a win. If they lose this game, however, if they lost by 4 points or more, they would go below the Sharks into 10th position. If they lost by 32 points or more, they'd go below the Bulldogs. And that's as far as they can go, because the Eels are on minus 84. If they were to win their game, there needs to be quite literally an 80 point on the dot swing between this game and that game in favour of the Eels and against the Knights. So realistically, you'd only be dropping down into 10th at worst, 11th. And that's about it. But then you're going to be close to teams like the Titans next week. Titans and Raiders both play each other next week, so one of those two teams will be able to get even closer to you. The Storm and not the Storm. The Dragons get the bye next week, so they're going to start to. Well, hopefully they'll get a little bit of confidence from the bye. Hopefully they'll get a bit of confidence from the bye. That's a crazy thing to say. No, the Storm play the Dolphins, so those two teams, especially with the Dolphins being only 2 points behind, I do really bad. I can't tip the Storm right now. And I didn't tip them yesterday, and I refuse to tip them until proven otherwise. The Storm are awful at the moment. They're just actually awful to watch. No, awful, just awful. So the Dolphins would be assumed probably get the win there, and they'll be potentially equal with you. So a loss here is really detrimental, and you'll start going back into the conversation of that bottom four, where you're not there yet. I'm not even talking or thinking about bottom four right now, because I have seen enough positivity out of you. But if you lose this game and lose this game well, it will start bringing you back into those conversations, because you're not too far away from it despite your positive start of the season. But that is the preview for today's game. I'm going Panthers 1-12, fully aware that 13 plus is likely. It works out for me with my super coach if Nathan Cleary kills it and they do win 13 plus. Would love to see the Knights get a sneaky little upset here. I just don't know if they're going to have the ability to hold the ball enough and keep the ball away from the Panthers as much as they will need to win this game. But obviously, guys, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Like I said, haven't had much sleep, so if I'm a little bit lethargic today, if I'm not as wild as you would normally expect here early doors, I'll pump along throughout the day, but I've had not much sleep because I got to watch my team make the FA Cup final. Go you good things, come on. But alright, let's get into the chat. Jafika says, Pulavanaka from Fiji, go the Panthers, good luck. Sneak says, let's go the Panthers. X-Factor says, do you think Storm can turn it around similar to how the Panthers did last year? Get this question a lot, X-Factor. My answer is, I doubt it. I think that the Panthers team is and was more confident to turn that around. And the same thing goes with the Roosters than the Storm team, because the benefit to the Panthers is that they're well balanced. You know, they've got a great they've got a great halves pairing, regardless if Blaze Lungy hasn't been great so far this season. Nathan Cleary is spectacular. So they've got a great halves pairing, great fullback, great hooker. They had a great back row, great back line, great forwards. They had the ability to turn it around. The Roosters also had a better team than the Storm last year, in my opinion, because the reason why people still think the Storm have an ability to turn around is because of their spine, but their spine is playing so poorly. And if their spine is playing so poorly, well, no one rates outside of the spine. Outside of the spine, it's not spectacular right now, especially with no Xavier Coates, and their centers are absolute makeshift. Their back rowers not getting the job done right now. Their forwards, no one's standing up. Stefano Utukamanu has got to be one of the most disappointing players nearly that I've seen in recent history. This Storm team just does not have the same talent outside of that spine to make up for when the spine is playing poorly. Whilst with the Panthers, if the spine is playing poorly, there is enough talent outside of it to still get a move along. And if the spine's playing, if everyone else is playing poorly outside of that, the spine is just going to get you moving along. So, yeah, it's not the same. And I can understand the comparisons and the thought processes that the Storm could do a Panthers of last year. But the Storm right now look way worse than the Panthers did when they were looking really bad last year. They look way worse. And the Panthers didn't give up 50 last year. The Panthers scored 50 on the Melbourne Storm this year, won 50 to points to 10. And the Rabbitohs essentially got 56 points yesterday. So they got 48. They didn't get the 50 bomb, but they missed 4 of their conversions, or 4 or 5 of their conversions. So they would have been on 56 points if they got their conversions, which means that the Storm would have had 2 50 bombs put past them this year. So yeah, I don't believe that the Storm have it in them to turn this around to that level. Could they turn it around and still make the 8? Yeah, I could see that. The 8 is very open right now. I don't think anybody could lay their life down the line and guarantee a top 8 as we currently speak, and the same thing can go for the top 4, and same thing can go for the bottom 4 and all this sort of stuff. It's a really open competition at the moment. I just don't have that confidence in this Melbourne Storm team. I really don't. Brenton says, I'm glad KP signed to 2030. Shows that he had confidence in the club moving forward. Now Junior's coming through. Yeah, look, it's a good signing for you. He's had a really tumultuous time with the fans at Newcastle Knights. They go through periods where they absolutely adore him and love him, and then there are periods where he just gets absolutely slandered to oblivion. And I get it. Like, he does have quite a few injuries. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. God bless him. I don't want him to be injured, but there are plenty of times where he is injured, and he cops a bit of a Tom Boyvich spray in a lot of ways as well, where the fans are off him, and then they're on him, then they're off him, then they're on him. I think that he is definitely confident with what the Knights can provide, but Justin Holbrook has come in and he's given them a little bit of direction, a little bit of something. So yeah, really happy for the Newcastle Knights that he's been able to stay there. You didn't necessarily need it though, because you've got Fletcher Sharp, who could play fullback. You've got now Sandon Smith and Dylan Brown. Even though I think that Kalen Ponga is one of the best players in the game when he's on, and I think that he can absolutely get back to some huge form. I don't necessarily think, and this isn't with not insulting Kalen Ponga, I think this Knights team is set up right now that even if you had lost him, then you would have been fine, and you would have been able to use that money on a different marquee signing, even though you just brought in Dylan Brown. So whilst I really rate Kalen, and I think that he's an unbelievable player, I don't think necessarily it was a necessity as much as it has been in the past, which is a good sign for the Knights going forward. But it's still a great signing regardless. I hope you understand what I'm saying there. Sports says, bro, how are you? So good. You should be the commentator. Get around your sports. Appreciate you for support the channel. And Casey says, this will be your 51 plus Panthers. There's an entire possibility where they win by a lot. I don't know about 51 plus. The Knights have still shown a lot of good signs this year. But there is an entire possibility that the Panthers win this game by a lot. However, I'm going 1-12 on the basis that they may be a little bit tired from the humidity of last week. If the Knights can keep it close at halftime, the Panthers are very susceptible to a comeback because they do not clock off, but they're nowhere near the same standards as the dominant first half they have. If the Panthers come in and dominate from the outset here, and I mean like just come in and slap it up from the very beginning, and are leading by 30 points at half time, of course they're just going to win this game. But it will still be probably more like a 42-16 kind of deal. Like the Knights could still score a couple of tries in the second half because they do have the attack in them. But the Panthers are a really good defensive team. So I'm very aware that this could be just an absolute blowout. But I'm going to look towards a 1-12. Scott says, do you think Panthers win? A spread minus 16.5. Am I wrong to think the Knights can challenge Panthers, or am I overthinking it and Panthers easily win? I don't think you're wrong. It's at the end of the day, you're not wrong. It's your... the Knights could give them a challenge, but I'm pretty confident the Panthers win just by how much, whether it's by a close margin or a big margin, to be fair. Olivia Reid with the $8 dude donation. Get around you. Olivia says, good afternoon, y'all. Happy Sunday. Another day, another donation, of course. I would like to say I've been marked safe from the after Anzac Day supermarket chaos. Anzac Day supermarket chaos? I have no idea what that is. Maybe I've been away from Australia for too long. But what's the after Anzac Day supermarket chaos? But appreciate you for the donor, Olivia, and hopefully we get a good Rubble League to finish it off. Jason with the $8 redo donation. Get around you. Big win for the Rabbits last night. For the Rabbits win last night. Get around you, Jason. That was massive. Man, that was huge. Rabbitohs looked really good. And that's the thing. People will focus on the Storm here. And this is actually kind of a good thing for the Rabbitohs. You don't want to be the centre of attention. I don't know if you support them or not, or you just bet on them. But for Rabbitohs fans, it's actually kind of good that you're not going to be getting the recommendations. You're not going to be getting the media attention spotlight on you. I think you should be happy that you got such a solid win against the Melbourne Storm, and then they're going to take the focus off of it because of how shithouse they are right now. You want to fly relatively under the radar. You don't want teams to be focusing on you. You don't want people to be focusing on you. You just want to get your job done, win the games, win them well, do what you need to do for yourselves, and let everybody else take the spotlight. Otherwise, you'll become like the Bulldogs of last year, where they were unbelievable, and then they took the spotlight onto themselves, the dumbest thing possible. They actually intentionally did it too. Insane, incredible. It's actually insanely wild that the Bulldogs intentionally brought the pressure and the attention onto themselves halfway through last season. So yeah, you don't want to be like them at all. So I think that the Rabbitohs should be extremely happy that they are not experiencing the scrutiny on their positive performance, but the scrutiny as other teams will. So very good win for the Rabbitohs. Scored essentially 56 points, just didn't get the conversions, and got their first win in Melbourne for a very, very long time. So yeah, very good performance by them, and they absolutely slaughtered the game from the outset. Let's scroll back up here, but thank you very much for the donor. Home of the NRL says he doesn't usually read the comments until after he talked about the game beforehand. Yeah, I do my preview and then we get into the comments so that you guys can hear my thoughts and my opinions about the game. And I can just tell you what I'm thinking, and then we get to you guys, and then we obviously discuss it. Steve says, what is going on with the Storm? They don't remember how to win. They need to remember how to win. Teams like the Titans, teams like the Tigers have learnt, but teams like the Titans, the Tigers, and the Dragons now, they need to learn how to win, whilst the Storm need to remember how to win because they have made 2 grand finals in a row. I feel like, and this has been a common theme that I've been seeing in comments on social media, even in our comment section here on the streams, and my mate Adam actually, I think, messaged me the other day about it, or maybe my dad, I can't remember. But the Storm, I feel like they must have had a massive drop-off in confidence after their second grand final loss in a row, because the Broncos have been able to maintain it, but they've obviously gotten that dubs. Well, of course, that confidence will still be there. But the Storm to lose 1 grand final to the Panthers is like, okay. But if you go and lose the second grand final in a row, not to the same team, the Panthers, it shows that the Broncos weren't good enough the year beforehand, but the Broncos were better than you the year after. But yet you got to second, and then you got second again. Coming second twice in a row in a grand final on the main centre stage and in such excruciating fashion, and for the fact that the Storm now haven't won since 2020, which isn't far away at all. But the point is they're expecting success. Whilst for those clubs that I mentioned before, they are hopeful for success. So when you expect success and you don't get that success, it really hits you. And I feel like the Storm, it's really hit them from that second grand final loss. Again, they lost the first one and I thought they were fine, but they lost the second one and now they just look absolutely disastrous. So this is to the point of why people say, can they bounce back? The answer is technically yes, the Storm can bounce back and they can still go on and compete heavily in this season because they still have the players, I guess, from the last couple of years. But if you're watching their games right now, they are way worse than what Panthers were last year, and they're just not in a similar situation for mine in regards to being able to turn it around to the same level the Panthers did last year. I don't have confidence they make the top 8 this year. Up the Gold Coast Titans says Panthers have not been impressive last 2 games. I'm very tempted to tip the Knights. I will disagree with you in regards to the Dolphins game. I think that's a 50-50. People forget they were really good in the first half, and the second half they weren't great, but they still found a way to score. This is the thing. It tells you a lot about a team. When they're up, 22-0? What was it last week? The game's about to start here. What was it at half-time last week? The score at half-time last week was 18 points to 0 to the Panthers. And then the Dolphins came back and led 22-18. And then with 5 minutes left on the clock, Thomas Jenkins scored a try to tie the game up. They obviously sent it to extra time. The game is kicked off here, by the way, guys. The Knights get the ball and they bring it out to the 10 through Jacob Saifidi. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. But the point is that the Dolphins came back with such severe momentum and changed the entirety of the game, but yet the Panthers were still able to find a way to get back over the line and win that game. So I don't think that's as poor a result on a win as a lot of people are making it out to be. But I understand the Panthers are going to be scrutinised so heavily, and they're going to be looked at so heavily for the overall context of the 80 minutes or 83 minutes or whatever that we saw. But I'm just saying I don't think that's as bad a result for the Panthers on a win that people are making out. Fit tackle here at the 42. The Bulldogs game was a bad result. That was a bad one. So the Knights now, Dylan Brown, he'll kick this ball down here to the 15, where the Panthers, Thomas Jenkins, he'll take it out here to the 25. Casey says, first place, by the way. Sure, the Panthers are first place, but that doesn't mean that they are free from being criticised for performances of late. At the end of the day, I think everybody respects the Panthers and knows the Panthers are a very, very good team. But the criticism, I think, is absolutely valid for the last couple of weeks. I just think that there's a bit more context to that Dolphins game that people are kind of skipping over. And that could be because they want to do it, because they don't like the Panthers, or because they just don't want to look as deeply into it as I'm suggesting here with the championship teams now to win those plays. Slunging left-hand side to Casey McLean. Casey McLean gets away from 1, gets away from 2, and he'll be at the 45 on the Knights side of the field. And Freddie Lussick to Nathan Cleary, who puts this ball up into the corner. Beautiful day here in Newcastle. Oh my gosh, Fletcher Sharp, that's awful. It's going to come down, bounce. Why teams and why players allowing the ball to bounce so much, man, I don't know. But Fletcher Sharp lets it bounce. It bounces into him, and then it goes over the sideline, so it's going to be Panthers' ball here. They're going to go onto the attack, and you cannot cannot give these easy opportunities to the Panthers. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. Olivia Reese says every man and their dog was at the shops today. Oh, fair enough. Shops were closed yesterday. Okay, fair enough. Panthers now, they're going to be at the 10 through Luke Garner. First tackle. If the Knights concede here, I am very, very concerned. Moses Leota, he is 4 metres away from the line. Home of the NRL's first place Raiders are 14th and the grand finalists are 16th. Yeah, I know, crazy to think about. Isaiah Papali'i, he's 3 metres away from the line. Third tackle for the Panthers. Can they get off to a rocking start? They go to Isaiah Yo, short ball, Moses Leota, and he'll be taken down to the 4 on 4th tackle. Freddie Lussick, then off to Lindsay Smith, Isaiah Yo. Isaiah Yo goes himself. This is a bit disjointed attack right now for the Panthers, early doors. 5th tackle. Lussick, Nathan Cleary. Cleary out to Dylan Edwards. Edwards goes, what the hell was that from the Panthers? Dylan Edwards, that was dumb, but also that attack from the Panthers was awful. That was really, really awful. That was not great at all. Ibrahim says both games seem very predictable today, but the way this season is going, you never know. I don't know how you're saying the next game looks very predictable. How is the next game very predictable? The Eels are coming off the back of an absolute slaughtering last week. I know they got beaten by 50 essentially 3 times this year, but the Eels had every opportunity to win that game today. And Manly, who have they played to suggest that they've got an easy win coming up? I don't know. Like Manly probably is who I'm going to tip, but I could easily still end up tipping the Eels as well if I'm honest with you. I'm not as confident about that game as you are. They're going to the sideline here. Oh, he stayed in field of play. No, he's lost the ball. He's lost the ball. So the Panthers will get it back at the 40. Knights, you got to stop giving them these opportunities because although their first set attack looked really awful, the Panthers are not going to have that awful attack every single set. So the Knights will lose it, and the Panthers will get this ball back. A very dominant way to start the game, however. So yeah, I don't know how you're confident in that next game, but this game you should be expecting the Panthers do win, yeah. And especially with Turbo out too. Someone. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, with Turbo out, I may consider taking the Eels, but come on, my boy Foz, get around the Foz. Peter says Katoa is having tests next month to determine whether he can return next year. Elias Katoa, I really pray for him, man. I hope he can. Unbelievable player. I really want to see him back, and still such a disastrous situation with Tonga. But yeah, he's an unbelievable player, so I really hope that he can come back. I have my doubts, though, if he will be able to. So Luke Garner, he's going to be 15 metres away here from the line, 3rd tackle. The issue with this Panthers team is that Mish Kenny is much more important to this team than you do typically think. Cleary with a great run straight through to the 4. Jeez, he was looking for a try himself. Freddie Lussick kicks his ball through. Fletcher Sharp gets it, and he will be taken back into the in goal. It's going to be a dropout. Will be a dropout. Sean says, what the hell was that? Awful. Ran on last like it was the 70th minute. Yeah, really strange stuff on the previous one, but this one worked out a lot better. They will get a dropout coming up here from the Knights, and it's just all Panthers ball at the moment. Tricky Hiriki says, do you think Toto will get 2 tries? Knights wing have conceded 2 in his wing. Sure, but the Panthers don't like going down his wing. They consistently go down. Oh, 1 second short dropout. The Knights get it. Fletcher Hunt will go up for it at the 13. That's lazy from the Panthers. The issue with expecting Brian Tuttle to score a couple of tries, even though I would love to see it, is that they love the side of Thomas Jenkins right now. They're not going down Brian Tuttle's side at all. So when you saw Tuttle score well against the Roosters, it was more so because he had to create his own plays in a lot of ways, which is why you saw that beautiful try with the little kick through for himself. The Knights are going to be, that's a 4 pass. Oh my gosh, Knights. Oh my gosh. In the first 3 sets, I don't think they've completed a set. They haven't completed a set. The Knights have not completed a set. They've gone over the sideline. Have they completed 1 set so far, the Knights? They've gone over the sideline, they've knocked the ball on, and now they've thrown the ball forward. So the issue is that whilst Brian Tuttle is one of the best wingers that you're going to see in a game, yeah, they're 1 from 3 completions. I think they're actually 1 from 4. I think they're 1 from 4. I think that's wrong. But they don't go down his side. So maybe we'll see them change it around here today. And if they do pinpoint that wing, sure. But they just haven't been liking his side at all. And they've been liking the Jenkins side, who has scored 17 tries this season. The Panthers, they go to the right. It's 6 again. Isaiah Yeo, Nathan Cleary. Cleary off to Dylan Edwards. Edwards runs it himself here. He'll be at the 10 metres. First tackle. Paul Alamotti. He'll go to Nathan Cleary. Cleary short ball into Garner. And Garner's going to be 3 metres away from the line. It's great for the Knights if they can defend these sets, though. But it's awful because they're the ones who have given them all this ball. Short ball to Zai Papali'i. And he's going to be 5 metres out from the line. Third tackle. Freddie Lussick. Oh, that's a 6 again. That's a 6 again. Yep. First tackle here at the 5. He's staying in the ruck. I don't know why Knights fans are booing. He's literally standing there in the ruck. Of course, that's going to be a 6 again. Casey McLean. He's strong, but he's not strong enough. 1 metre out from the line. Second tackle. He'll actually be held up over the line. So they'll go back to the 10 here on second tackle. Saying 17 tries out loud is crazy, especially considering it's only round 8 and we're talking about 7 rounds as well. Third tackle here for the Panthers. 3 metres away from the line. Freddie Lussick. He'll go to Nathan Cleary. Cleary will get smacked down at the 10. This is really awful attack from the Panthers at the moment, mind you. Like, really, really poor. And the Panthers will be at the 3. Like, the Knights are rushing up in defense, but the Panthers are not looking like themselves. Isaiah Yeo, short ball. Nathan Cleary, out the back. Casey McLean. They get the offload away to Thomas Jenkins. Jenkins comes back onto the inside. And Jenkins will not score. I got to be honest with you, though. Panthers, you don't deserve a try right now. Knights, you deserve to have 10 tries put past you with how awful you've been with the ball because you keep giving the Panthers opportunities. But the Panthers don't deserve to score a try right now. One, they're not kicking it, which is one of their best attributes. Nathan Cleary, one of the best kickers in the game. Why are you not kicking it? 2, why are you just taking it on fifth tackle? It just doesn't make any sense. And everything's looking clunky. Nothing's looking spectacular here with the Panthers at the moment. So this is why I say the point that someone said before, the Panthers are first, by the way. That's sure, but also we're watching the same game right now, and despite being in first, the Knights have given them multiple opportunities. The possession right now is 62% to the Panthers, 38% to the Knights, because the Knights are making so many mistakes, but the Panthers are doing absolutely nothing with it. So that's all great and all that they're in. Oh, he nearly lost that ball too. It's all great that they're in first, but they're not attacking like a first-place team as we speak. Dylan Edwards gets his ball at the 30. Finally a completed set there from the Newcastle Knights. And Edwards goes out to the right to Brian To'o, who will then take it to the 45 on first tackle. It says in every game the Eels have won, they haven't been good, to be honest. Against the Bulldogs, they conceded 20 and they conceded 53 times. No way, the Eels were good last week against the Bulldogs. I won't necessarily say that the Eels are a spectacular team at all. I think they've looked awful this year, but you're talking about a confident Manly with no Tom Trbojevic. And after the Eels did have a big win against the Bulldogs, but to say that the Eels didn't play well last week is absurd for mine. I thought the Eels did play definitely well. The Bulldogs played poorly, but the Eels definitely played well. Fourth tackle, and Nathan Cleary brings it to the 30. He rolls it around. He goes through, taken down to the 25. And then they roll it back. They go to Blaze Talangi. Talangi puts that ball up in the air. Coming through here. Knights knock on. I'm telling you, Panthers, you have to score here, dude. That is now like 4 errors for Newcastle in the opening 10 minutes. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. 30 minutes to go in the first half. Another knock on here from Newcastle. Fletcher Sharp's having a rough day in the fullback today. Edson says Thomas Jenkins has been doing good this last couple of rounds. No, Thomas Jenkins has been the best winger in the comp in the last 7 rounds. The entirety of the season so far. Nintendo says the Eels have had 50 put on them by teams. Ooh, that's gone down. By teams that have also had 50 put on them, and Eels have somehow win more games than both of them. NRL doesn't make sense sometimes. The NRL is at a stage in its tenure that nothing makes sense as we speak. Nothing makes sense. And that's why you nearly fully expect that the Knights just go on and win this game, don't you? Nathan Cleary here is 8 metres away from the line. Panthers so clunky in attack. So clunky. Lindsay Smith will be 1 metre away here from the line. Third tackle. Freddie Lussick. He'll go to Isaiah Yeo. Isaiah Yeo, Nathan Cleary. Quick passing. Luke Garner. Oh, he's lost the ball. Oh, my gosh. I actually might lose my mind with this Panthers team today. You are off your rocker. There's been like 5-6 errors in this first 11 minutes from both these teams, most of them being from Newcastle. But watching the Panthers play right now is all over the shop. The Knights are rushing up in defense, and they are doing well enough on the defense. But I'm also telling you that this Panthers team is looking dreadful on attack. Looking dreadful on attack right now. Pasami Saulo brings it out to the 25 on third tackle. Now, I just want to see the Knights complete a set here. Please complete this set. Fourth tackle now for Newcastle, and they'll be at the 35. Brighton says, Sean Surf, if 3 players pick a bloke up 15 metres in field and carry him to the sideline as long as they're moving, that's shield. Obviously, easier said than done. What's happening here? I've missed the context of this conversation. So the Knights, Dylan Brown at the 40. He's going to put that ball down here to the 23. And Thomas Jenkins brings it out, gives it to Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards still moving, gives it off to Paul Alamotti. He's 1-on-1 on the wing. James Shelley gets beaten by Alamotti, and he's still going, Alamotti. He's still going, gets it to the 40 on first tackle. Up the Gold Coast Titans says Titans are better attack than this. Titans are the greatest team that ever existed, mate. The Titans may never lose a game, will never lose a game. They didn't lose this week, and they won't lose again. Simple as that. Thanks for coming. Dylan Edwards now brings this ball to the 35, and anyone who disagrees with that, you're a hater. Third tackle, stop being a hater in life. You've got to think of more on the positive side. Zai Yo, he's going to be at the 20 on fourth tackle. Panthers, the fact that you haven't scored with 60% possession and all of it in the attacking 20 is just astounding. Casey McLean, he pushes away from... Oh, no, he gets taken down to the 13 on fifth tackle. They give it to Nathan Cleary. Cleary's going to run this ball, gives it off to Leota. Edwards right on through, and they finally will score. After all of this attacking pressure, they finally score. That was not too bad, but because the Knights are rushing up in defense, they got caught out here because Nathan Cleary run. Well, they didn't actually rush up in defense this time, and that's probably why they've conceded. Because when they've been going up in defense and getting up quickly in the line, you've seen the Panthers have had limited room to move, which is making them look really, really clunky. This time, Nathan Cleary's able to run to the 5, so they're not coming up in defense. Then he gets all the way across to Moses Leota. They're done for numbers on that side, and then Edwards is just able to go straight on through. So this try, well worked there by Nathan Cleary to see that they weren't coming in off the line. But ultimately, Knights, you've only conceded because you weren't ready for that tackle. Brian says, I was asking if there was a time limit with momentum carrying a bloke to the sideline. Whenever the referee says that if the ball comes and hits the ground, if it stops and then starts again, then obviously that's a penalty. If it stops and starts again, it's a penalty. But if the tackle is continuously moving, then it's never a penalty. It's over the sideline. If the tackle never stops with its momentum. But yeah, that ultimately comes down to the fact that the Knights, this one time, this whole first 14 minutes, have been coming up on the line. This time they didn't, and Cleary picks them off. Jacob says, who's doing good? No one right now, but the Panthers at least will get the try. Schumacher says, it is hard from 10 metres out from the goal line because they have no time to move the ball because defence get up so quick. Well, yeah, that's a big reason as to why they've scored this time compared to the other times. But the Panthers, they typically will score against that regardless, which is a theme that we've had throughout this entire year so far, where the Panthers are clunky in attack. Even when they won 26-0 over the Broncos at Suncorp and 26-6 over the Sharks, we were acknowledging that the Panthers' attack didn't actually look that spectacular. And that was amazing to see, that they were still scoring 26 points and winning by 20 plus in games that we thought their attack wasn't great. And then they opened up a lot more, and then they just started putting a great attack on against teams like the Eels, against teams like the Storm and whatnot. Because this Knights team isn't amazing defensively. They're not amazing defensively, but the Panthers, they should have been doing better early doors. But they've got the try regardless, and maybe this opens the floodgates, but it took them a while to get there. Home NRL, 30 tackles in the Knights half and over 20 inside the 20 is insane the first 10 minutes. Absolutely. Second tackle, and especially considering it was 0-0 until a few seconds ago. So they'll go to Luke Garner, and Garner now brings it to the 25. Breton says, Sandon Smith got pipped. Give them so many chances they finally get one, not impressive. Oh, that's not how to think of it. Maraki says, what matters is forward progress and momentum, not time. If the ball carrier is still making progress or being driven with momentum, the referee will let the play continue. Exactly right, yeah. Unless, yeah, if the referee just calls... Sometimes we have situations where it does look like the momentum is still there, but the referee will actually call it as held. Obviously, that's what takes the precedence for your answer, Brighton. But it really does come down in regards to opinion and perspective on what momentum is and if it is still moving, because we do see a lot of disagreement a lot of the time as well. Dane Gago gets away here. He'll get this ball to the 45 on second tackle. We do have criticism with how that is adjudicated from time to time. 6 again here from Newcastle. Sandon Smith's going to be at the 50 on first tackle. Jason Finesse says 42-10 Panthers. Well, it's not really looking like that right this very second. This is looking like it might be a bit more of a low scorer. They go to the left-hand side of Fletcher Hunt, who's been really good recently. Oh, then he loses the ball, and Dylan Edwards is away. Dylan Edwards is away. Well, okay, well, that might tell you a massive story. It is 10 points to 0 with a kick to come. Dylan Edwards with a double. And it is 10-0. Fletcher Hunt was looking good, but he drops the ball. And the Panthers will go straight up 10-0, and it's about to be 12-0 in a moment now. Knights, you have been your own worst enemy here today. Your defense has held strong for the most part, but yet you just gave up that try, and then this is not gone up the points, by the way. Happens every set in the NRL nowadays. If you score points, you can nearly guarantee that a team will drop the ball, especially if they're the Titans. But this is a drop ball after points. Edwards with the second try. Edwards with 2 tries. Yeah, he's got. Oh, you're saying his second try, okay? I thought you were just saying the second try. It's just too easy there. Fletcher Hunt, good run, but yeah, just loses the ball and see you later. See you later. Has Dom Young been playing good these last 7 rounds? He has his good moments. People circle jerk him way too much after a good game, but he does have his good moments for sure. He's been better at the Knights and the Roosters, that's for sure. Royal Grand Majesty, I don't know how much to compare that, but he's been better than he was at the Roosters. Royal Grand Majesty says, give them so many chances they finally get one. Not impressive. Oh, that's right. I read that comment and it was also wrong. It's just not true. That's just not how rugby league works. Jacob says, Young just given up. That's terrible. That's Dom Young for you, bro. But Nathan Cleary to make this 12-0, and it is potentially looking like this could become the slaughter that it looked like it might have been beforehand. I gave the Knights a bit more credit, but Panthers right now are taking it away pretty quickly. However, they're not a great second half team, so it depends on how much they can score in this first half. So 18 minutes in. Jacob says, yeah, no, he's lazy, unfortunately. Yeah, defensively, he's not spectacular. And attacking-wise, he kind of needs everything to be delivered to him. And that's why I say, like, he gets way too much of a circle jerk when he has a good game. But he can have some really good moments too. Trey Horn says, Edwards going to get that first half, had he? Yeah, right now, he's absolutely demolishing it. It's so funny seeing Justin Holbrook and Brett White alongside each other now down there at Newcastle. It's so funny. Do I have a Manly win today? I don't know, man. I'm thinking I may go. I don't know who I'm going to tip in that game. It's a really difficult game. We'll talk about that later on when we're on live for that one. It's a really tough one because Tom Trbojevic out for Manly, and the Eels coming off a pretty good win against the Dogs, but the Dogs look shit out. So I don't know. I don't know the Eels. I don't know the Eels at all. Lose by 50 and then go and score 40 against a Dogs team that usually is a much better defense. The Dogs are just shocking. So third tackle, and Moses Leota brings it to the 25 on 4 tackle now. Who's Brett White? I don't even know. You don't know who Brett White is? You don't know Brett White was a great player back in his day in the NRL, but also he's a defensive coach for New South Wales and also was for the Titans. Now he's your, I'm assuming, defensive coach. I like Brett as a bloke, but I don't rate him as a defensive coach. I don't, because when you look at New South Wales, you wouldn't say their defense is great. When you look at the Gold Coast Titans under his tenure, you wouldn't. So Fletcher Sharp is injured right now, God bless him. When you look at the Titans, you definitely wouldn't be liking their defense. When you look at the Knights overall, I don't really think their defense is that top tier overall as well. So I have my doubts about Brett. Again, great bloke, but when it comes to organising teams defensively, I think it's pretty, in front of our faces that he hasn't been able to get the performance out of the team as you would hope. And that's a big high kick, and that's going to be a great kick. Oh, no, it's going to go for a 7-tackle set. It was still a really good kick that forced Edwards to have to let it bounce. Luckily, it goes dead. Who are your top 5 centres for me? In no order: Farnworth, Critter, McLean, Staggs, and Kohler. This is an interesting question because you've got to think, are you talking about form or are you talking about overall? Because if you're talking about form, for you not to include Simi Sasangi is insane. If you're talking about like this year, then Simi Sasangi has to be in that conversation. And also Latrell Mitchell, mind you. And also, if you're talking about this year, Critter is absolutely not in the top 5 or top 10 at all. this year. Critter is one of the worst centres in the game this year, unfortunately. And I usually like him. Nathan Cleary right through the line. Gets the offload away to Moses Leota. Back inside. Leota still going. His third tackle now at the 23. 20 minutes to go in the first half. If you guys hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Blaze Talangi gets it across to his eye. Papali'i as they go back onto the inside. They're 13 metres out from the line. 4 tackle. That was a great run from Cleary. And here he goes again. Cleary. Lindsay Smith. He will run it. Offload it to Isaiah. Flex it back. Edwards. Dylan Edwards for a hat trick. Dylan Edwards gets a hat trick. Dylan Edwards gets a hat trick. 3 tries in the first 20 minutes there for Dylan Edwards. 3 tries in 20 minutes for Dylan Edwards. It's 16-0 with a kick to come. It's about to be 18-0 any moment now. But Leota again in space off a great run from Nathan Cleary, and then he sets us up again with his run from the dummy. Lindsay Smith, there's so much space here. Oh my gosh, there's so much space. There's so much space. There's nothing wrong with this. Commentary's talking about how they may check this, but I don't think there's anything wrong with this try. I don't think so, unless like on the inside there's an impact, but what are the commentary talking about in regards to this being a no try? Am I missing something here? And no, Leota's done nothing wrong there. You can't blame Leota's done nothing there. There's no way this is a try confirmed. 100%. No one's been impeded. Moses Leota is in the line, but no one's touched him. Like, what are we talking about? But this is just way too easy for Dylan Edwards, and that's his 3rd try of the day already. Well, if you've got him in Supercoach, you'd be pretty happy. Try confirmed. Try confirmed. Trace, wonder if Edwards gets 6 this game. Hey, well, he's on target for it. 18.5 minutes to go in the first half, and it is 18-0 to the Penrith Panthers. Bretton says 10% goes to the channel. Or Trace says, oh, I did bet it, my guy. You bet on what? He called the Hattie B. He didn't put a bet on it, the cat. Oh, Trey, you bet on a hat trick for Dylan Edwards, did you? Oh, looking forward to the 10%. Looking forward to the 10% there, champion. I was about to say so I can get a beer tonight, but then I realised I had a few too many last night, so I will definitely not be going out tonight. I had too many celebrating Man City getting a win last night. But that was, if you guys watched that game, a couple of absolute screamer goals in that last 10 minutes. I wonder if anyone's ever hit the screen while kicking a conversion. Oh, yeah, for sure they would have. 1,000,000% they would have. Like, at C-Bus, you're never going to have it because the screens are in the corner. Suncorp is, I think it's too far. I think the Suncorp ones are too far. Or maybe not. I can't remember where the Suncorp ones are. I know they're on the end of the field, but I can't remember where the Suncorp one is, actually. 3rd tackle. I don't know how far back it is. Nathan Cleary to Luke Garner, and Garner's going to get taken back to the 25. Jacob says, Storm 0 chance for top 8 if they lose the Dolphins next week. 0 chance is just not factually true, but they probably just don't make the top 8, yeah, for sure. But the 0 chance is just not factually true. It would be 9 rounds in. There'd still be, a long time to go in the season. There'd still be another 18 rounds of games to go. So we would have been a third of the way through the year. 9, 18, 27, yeah. So no 0% chance. People were saying this about the Panthers last year, but I wouldn't have them for the top 8, no. I was poor defense with that, definitely, Jared. But if you're noticing, it's coming from Nathan Cleary because Cleary is running the ball from dummy half. He's going to get a one-on strip here. No, nearly did. 3rd tackler at the 40. He's noticing they're not coming off the line on the 5th tackle, so he's actually making that dart in. They're coming towards him. That's then bringing more space to the outside. He gets the ball away, and then there's a lot of space for Dylan Edwards to score a couple of tries now. So Nathan Cleary is currently the one manipulating this line by running the ball from dummy half. And that is going to be Thomas Jenkins in the air, and he'll grab this ball here at the 30. Just play, this is what's Redbubble. Redbubble is where we have the merchandise for all the different teams on it. It's an easy website that when you buy something from it, they send it out to you, and you can put the designs on and whatnot. So the designs that we have on the screen and the description with all the different teams of cricket and also rugby league, they're all on Redbubble with all different kinds of things that you can get. 4th tackle here at the 40. JC says, in America, I can't bet on try scorers. It sucks. You can't bet on try scorers? It's just not an option, is it? That's weird. Forward pass here for the Panthers, and it'll come to the Newcastle Knights at the 35 on their own side of the field. Blake says, so good to see Edwards back in good form after last year. Yeah, he was awful last year. Good to see that he's rocking this year. Edwards could get the world record 7. I don't think we're going to be seeing Dylan Edwards get 7. 4 is entirely possible. 5 is potentially possible, but no, I don't think so. It's great to see that he's got 3 tries, though. He's confirmed to be the New South Wales fullback this year. Well, he hasn't been confirmed shit, but I think he will be the fullback this year, yeah. There's going to be a HIA here for Jacob Saifidi. That's a big loss for the Knights. He's been really good for them this year. Royal Grand Majesty says, I don't get why this team is that much better than the rest. I was looking at team stats in the NRL site, and Panthers are middle of the pack in all categories, only leading least penalties conceded. Okay, so look, I've seen a track record from you over the last little bit, and not just today, but other streams, and I'm aware that you hate the Panthers, bro. But you need to, there might be teams that I don't like, but I look at it from as much of a neutral perspective as I possibly can. And you are very much cherry picking to suit your agenda. The Panthers are pretty clearly the number 1 team in the competition right now. They are in first position. They have lost 1 game this year. They won 4 premierships in a row from 2021 to 2024. They were in the grand final in 2020, and they were 5 minutes away from making their 6th consecutive grand final last year when they were last in round 8. So whilst you can be a hater of a team, that's fine. You're very much cherry picking just to hate for the purpose of hating on them. Because if you don't think that this Panthers team is any good, then that is a plight against what you are watching. And it's a plight to the fact that you don't watch it from a neutral lens. You watch it with the intention of this team. The Knights here, 15 out, but Dylan Edwards gets the ball here at the 5. You watch it with the intention to pick out the faults rather than the intention to look at what they're doing positively. They're up 18-0 right now. What more do you want from them as we currently speak? What more do you want from them? They score a try before and you say, well, they had a lot of attempts at the line, but they've only scored the 1 try, so it's not impressive. That doesn't even make sense. Like, at the end of the day, they've gone over the line. It was disappointing until they got the try, but then when they got the try, that then null and voids it, essentially, and they get the try. So what are we complaining about them getting the try when that was the whole purpose and the intention of those sets? So you're not looking at this from a neutral value. You're not looking at this from a normal the thought perspective. And if you're thinking this Panthers team isn't any good or don't deserve their recommendations, I don't know what you're watching, to be fair. And again, I'm not a Panthers fan by any stretch of the imagination. First tackle here at the 30. Josiah said, I don't get why people say it's long at the top of the table. Maybe they don't go eyes. Oh, he's got the ball offload there. No, it's going to be second tackle here for the Knights at the 30. Maybe they don't go eyes, look above you. Up the Panthers, been supporting since 2023. Okay, well, that's not a proud thing to say. Been supporting since 2023. To go against you, been supporting since 2023 is not a great thing to say, bro. People aren't going to really respect that. They're not going to... I can't back that one in, bro. Like, welcome to the NRL, and it's good to see we got new fans, but... That's a tough one. The Knights now will kick this ball down to the Panthers here at the 5. Dylan Edwards is going to have to take it actually out of the in goal, and then he brings it out to the 5 on first tackle. Nate says, apply in your own intelligence, mate. I'd agree with that. Nah, bullshit, just plays it. Nah, I've had enough of you, to be fair. You're the one who actually goes back at him every single day, so we'll see ya. Royal Grand Majesty says, you reckon teams should go for the least penalties conceded to win the comp, since that's the only stat that they're performing well in? That's the only stat they're performing well in? That's the only stat that they're performing well in, is it? Okay, well, did you think the Broncos were good last year? Did you think that the Broncos were deserving of the competition last year? Did you think they were the best team last year? Were they good? That's all I'll say. I'll wait for your response. Because I look forward to you looking at the stats of the Broncos last year. Fifth tackle, Nathan Cleary. And Cleary kicks that. That's going to be played at by the Knights. They could get this ball. They do get it, but they go over the side. Oh, he's throwing the ball back on the end. No, he's over the sideline. So it's going to be Panthers ball at 35. MVP's his favourite Super League team. I don't have a Super League team, man. I would love to get into it, but the time zone is just not great. Nathan Cleary, the great tackle here over the sideline, so it's going to be Panthers ball. Yeah, they're middle of the pack in all categories and team stats. You can bring it up right now. And yet they've lost 1 game. So what's your point? What is your point that you are making? They've lost 1 game. They've lost 1 game all season. What is your point? The point doesn't make any sense. They've lost one game all season. They've got the second most points in the comp this year with one less game than the Warriors. After this game, right now they've got 18 points. They're on 229. They're actually they're the best team for attack. So what you're saying that they're average in every other stat except for least penalties conceded. Paul Alamotti. Oh, he should have passed that ball to Brian Tuttle. Would have been an easy try. Brian Tuttle gets it across into Nathan Cleary. Cleary goes himself, and Cleary will score for the Penrith Panthers. It is 22-0 with a kick to come. So, I love this. So, you've said that the Panthers' only good stat this year, they're middle of the pack and everything, but the only good stat this year for the Panthers is least penalties. But yet, the best team for attack going into this game was the Warriors with 242 through 8 games. The Panthers have played 7 games. They've scored 229 points through that. So now we add in probably 24 because Cleary scored next to the post. So that's going to go to 39, 49. That's going to go to 53. So they're 253 points scored this year. So you're telling me that the only positive stat that the Panthers do have right now is the least penalties conceded, despite the fact that across all 17 teams in this NRL competition, that they are very clearly in the lead for the most points scored across the competition. And then hold on a second. Let's go to another pretty key stat here. Through 7 games, they've given up 94 points. Do you want to know how many teams are better than them at defense? You want to know how many teams have got a better defense than the than the Penrith Panthers right now? 0. They are the number 1 team for the defense as well. So what are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? This Panthers team, this is why I'm saying this is complete and utter bias. The Panthers have the best attack in the competition right now. The Panthers have the best defense in the competition right now. They're up 22-0 against the Newcastle Knights, about to be 24-0. What are we talking about? Their points differential is plus 135. Where's your middle of the pack notion here? They're the only team who has lost 1 game this season, and you're focusing on giving up the least amount of penalties. That's also great. But where's the middle of the pack that you're seeing? Because that's first in attack and first in defense, and yet we're saying they're middle of the pack. It's absurd. It is absolutely absurd. Trying to find faults in the Panthers is crazy. This season and last season has proven stats aren't everything. Panthers have shown they are the exception, not the rule. But the key stats here, who scored the most points in the comp, who's conceded the least points in the comp, both of which are the Panthers. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Besides, no, you don't get it, actually, because all of you guys will still hate on the Panthers. In what part of any part of this conversation have I been hating on the Panthers? I'm defending you. You're an idiot. Oh my gosh. Like, this is a good conversation with Royal Grand Majesty. This is how this channel operates. We're passionate. We're talking about it, right? Like, he's still fine. There's nothing... I'm not having a crack at... Well, we are having a crack at Royal Grand Majesty, but not in a bad way. It's just rugby league conversations here. But you're an idiot, Josiah, because I'm defending the Panthers right now. What are you talking about? What are we talking about in general right now? The Panthers are going to win the ball to 5. Royal Grand Majesty says middle of the pack is in the NRL team stats. That's why I asked the question, why are they better, since those stats don't show it. So it's 24-0 right now. Again, your conversation is very heavily reliant on clearly, like, give me an answer. Do you hate the Panthers or not? Do you dislike the Panthers as a... Who would be your most... And be honest. I want you to be honest here. Is this your most hated club in the Panthers? So they'll go to Isaiah Yo, and Yo, by the way, Sam, you would have hated that clear try. It's going to be close, man. It's going to be close. I never would have thought I'd be in it after Sam Walker scored $1 billion yesterday. I wish the Panthers and Storm both get deleted from the comp. And there's my point. I rest my case. So the Knights are going to be at the 30. Seven says, can't believe we need to defend Penrith's credibility. Their records speak for themselves. 100%. 100%. First in attack and first in defense, and we're criticising him. It's unbelievable. Michael says, I'm not a Penrith fan, but they currently lead the table best attack and defense. Best attack, best defense, currently up 24-0 in a game with 8 minutes to go here in the first half, and we're talking about them in the middle of the back. Harrison Graham, third tackle. Now it's Dane Gagai. He'll get it across to Phoenix Crossland, and now they'll be 50 metres away. Javiga says, haters hate, we celebrate. Criticism can come for the Panthers. If you notice, like, I will still criticise the Panthers in regards to their attack, because I think it can be a lot cleaner and a lot better than what it has been. Good offload here from the Knights. Fletcher Sharp runs into his own player, then he'll be fit tackle at 25. You can still criticise the Panthers. It's just that we're talking about something that isn't the point of emphasis, in my opinion. I don't think that this should be where the emphasis comes in. Jacob says Panthers is going hard. That what we like, energy. Yeah, but wait till the second half, man. They do usually slip away in the second half. This is a very typical first half for the Panthers right now. And they could have scored more, but they haven't yet. But there's still 7 minutes to go to the first half. This is a very, very regulatory first half from the Panthers where they will dominate it. But the other team, they can come back. Blaze Slugger, I don't think the Knights come back here. I'm just saying the Panthers do slip slightly in the second halves. And Nathan Cleary, that's going to be offloaded. It does go backwards. It was fine. I know Knights fans are going to be critical of it, but it does go backwards and bounce forward. Jared says, crazy how people want to create their own narrative rather than take in what they're viewing. That's why when you saw me in the grand final last year doing the stream and through the finals and whatnot, obviously in the past I've really hated the Broncos. You know, as a Titans fan from the Gold Coast, I've really hated the Broncos. But with my content and with me doing these streams, I now watch every game of all different teams. So I don't have that hatred anymore. I have my love and passion for the Titans, and everybody else can edit it, essentially. But I'm a massive Titans fan, but I don't have the hatred like other people have for other teams. So that's why it was really good to be able to sit back and actually enjoy that grand final from a quality perspective and with the Broncos winning. Because 5 years ago, I would have hated that. It would have been the worst day of my life. And there's a penalty here to the Newcastle Knights. As Papali'i goes on report at the 50. So they'll get this ball to about the 30 or 25 or something like that. But it was really good to be able to grow up in this sense, where I grew up from being a person who hated a club and wasn't able to see the positives from them. They're actually at the 15, the positives from them, and was able to respect what we were actually watching. And the same thing goes for teams like the Panthers and the Storm, who have been so successful over their time. You know, it's quite funny to see the Storm down where they are. However, as a now general content creator of all teams, 1 second Dane Gagai is at the 10. I also feel very frustrated that we're not seeing that same successful Storm team as well. It's just a very different perspective that I've got nowadays to what I used to have. And I can see, it's a knock on there for the Knights. And they'll get this ball out here to the 20 through Billy Phillips. But if I was sitting here showing my bias and hatred, like Broncos fans still think I hate them when I don't. And other fans will think because I'm not circle jerking them enough that they'll think that I hate them when I don't. But there's no way that's going to be a knock on it from Dylan Edwards at the 35, that you would want to watch these streams if I was just here to show my bias and hatred towards certain clubs and just show my love to the Titans. There's just no way. So no, I like how I've been able to adjust in that capacity. Brendan says laters. That's it, I'm going to work. Well, Panthers knock it on. You got a chance to score a try here just before half time. Yeah, they might slip second up but win 36-12. Yeah, that's a pretty typical thing the Panthers could do. But again, they were up 18-0 at halftime last week against the Dolphins and won an extra time 23-22. And they were down 22-18 at one stage. Sanders Smith bounces away from a tackle. He's at the 35 now at 30 on first tackle. Trey Horn says, Edwards is bottom of the league in the category of hair on his head. You are a muppet. You are a muppet. That's for sure. That's for sure, mate. So it's going to be second tackle now for the Knights at the 25. Sanders Smith, Dylan Brown, and McEwen gets the ball away to Fletcher Sharp. Nearly loses it, but he keeps it. And Fletcher Sharp will be taken down at the 13 now on third tackle. And now it's going to bounce around 6 again here for the Knights. Dylan Brown is going to be 9 metres away from the line. 4 minutes left here of the first half. And first tackle out to Crossland. Short ball. Oh, I thought there was a try for the Knights just then. Harrison Graham, quick passing. Feeds Crossland. Try time of the Knights. I hope you didn't go to work, Brenton, because the Knights will score through Phoenix Crossland underneath the post. It's 24-4 here with the kick to come. David says, can we have an operatic version of the Fiddy Bomb? It's coming around the 70th minute. We're going to have to see you timed out because the Panthers have not hit 30 yet, so you can't talk about the Fiddy Bomb. You may have just jinxed it as well. Logan says, calling a team average and reasoning it off pure stats rather than stating the stats and backing those stats with in-game examples, it's basically saying to someone's face you don't actually watch the NRL. The issue with stats is that stats are great and stats are fact, and the stats do show a lot, but it doesn't show everything. If you're watching the Panthers, you know how good they have been this season and across this entirety of the decade so far. But if you watch the game you can sometimes get a completely different perspective to what the stats are showing. Roosters are a fantastic example of this. Besides this week, the Roosters will usually lose the first half but be winning dominantly in the stats at half time. They did it against the Warriors. They did it against a multitude of teams so far this season. Pretty much every game they win the halftime stats, the Sharks. But then they'll sometimes they'll come back and win, sometimes they won't. But the point is that they will dominate the stats and not necessarily win the game or not necessarily be winning at halftime kind of deal. Stats give you a picture. Stats give you a story, but it's not the entire story. You need to watch. Yeah, okay, it's momentum. Yeah, it's fine. You need to watch and read. Watch and read. It's not just about looking at stats. The stats don't tell the entire picture. I can confirm when I started watching this stream in 2022, there was a strong hatred for the Broncos, but it was never directed towards the players, but last year it was only honest criticism. Yeah, it was never towards the players. You know, you win Supercoach, screw Cleary. Oh, is he really on a mad one, is he? Nah, it's going to be close, bro. It's going to be close today. I wouldn't give up just yet. I haven't looked at the score just yet, though. Oh, no, bro. You're still well and truly in this game. What's he only on 80? He's only on 84 with the captain. He's only got 40. Oh no, sorry, he's 84 already. Okay. I thought that was 84 as captain. I was like, oh, dude, it's still so close. As if Cleary scores, like you've still got there's still an entire second half here. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for you. You need Jack Williams to go crazy. Blaise Salungi's been disappointing for you. But if Brian To'o scores a try, or if Nathan Cleary gets another try or something like that, yeah, it's over. But until the fat lady's singing, mate. Basically, I said to you in the chat last night, I don't know if I tagged you, but I said it in the Supercoach chat. If Nathan Cleary scores, it's probably wraps. If he doesn't score, then you probably get the job done. But I can't believe it, considering Sam Walker went absolutely nutso for you. And Murray Taulagi. When Murray Taulagi scored that 115 or whatever it was, I was just like, I'm done. Third tackle here at the 25. Over 51.5 was so free. It should come off. It definitely should come off. Panthers, if they lock down into 1 second, the Knights go out to the right, Fletcher sharp. That's what you say. When they have the ball, the Knights can definitely score. But when they don't have the ball, they're probably going to concede. Well, look what the score is right now. And they'll put that one up in the air. The Panthers will... Oh, that's a penalty. Well, Dylan Edwards has been taken up without the ball here. Yeah, it's 100,000,000% a penalty of the Panthers. Most Broncos fans appeared in 2023 when Walsh signed. Broncos fans don't like to admit this, but their average attendance dropped from the heights that it was, from like 40k or whatever it was, to 28,000 in their bad years. So people don't really like to talk about this, which you need to look at in a... If it's another club, it makes it look really bad. But because they're a big one-team city, I know Dolphins are in now, but ultimately everyone's still a Broncos fan. Dolphins fans, if the Broncos are going well, I'm telling you they'll get it on the Broncos. If the Broncos are going well, the Dolphins going well, I'm telling you the Broncos fans will support. We even had this yesterday with one of the Broncos fans saying that he really wanted the Dolphins to win. I'm telling you, they're like a 50-50 club, those two teams. Nathan Cleary at the back to Blaise Salungi, then off to... Casey McLean, that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a rugby league field, and it's going to be a knock-on for the Panthers. Sam says, Kate Wellhammer, Warbrick, shit the bed. I'll stop with Supercoach now, though. Supercoach is fine, bro. It's just that the reason why I messaged you saying, like, just slow it down in regards to the Taulagi stuff was because it was very distracting on that stream. Because I'm trying to react to an awful game of rugby league at that time. And I'm just getting shit on about Supercoach. I'm just like, give it to me. You can give it to me about Supercoach, but not like, bang, 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 man. You know what I mean? It wasn't applied against you. That's why I voice messaged you. But anyway, it's halftime, 24-6 here to the Panthers. They got the job done at a pretty damn well good level. They put a score past them in the first half. Now is when we get to see if they're a different team to what we've seen in the last 365 days. You know, they are a typical team to slow it down in the second half. And the Knights, if they've got the ball, they will keep on pressing. But the Knights did last week get pumped in the second half by the Roosters. The Knights were up 24-14 and lost 38-14. So... that's a concern there for Newcastle, and if I know Justin Holbrook, get an amazing bloke, amazing. If I know Justin Holbrook, those second half comebacks are potentially a typical thing in coming for the Knights, and second half drop-offs can be a significant thing as well. So it's just something to consider. But halftime 24-6. Let's get into the stats here and see what it's saying. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and don't forget we've got Manly versus the Eels right after this. So the Knights 6, Panthers 24 at McDonald's Jones Stadium in Newcastle. Tries for the Knights, feeds Crossland in that 36th minute, with Sandon Smith getting the 1-from-1 on the conversions. With the Panthers, Dylan Edwards, and you guessed it, Dylan Edwards, and then Nathan Cleary with another try, and 4-from-4 on the conversions from Nathan Cleary. We move to the possession, 43% possession to the Newcastle Knights, 57% possession to the Penrith Panthers. Time of possession is 11 minutes 25 for the Knights, 14 minutes 50 for the Panthers, and this will probably update. So right this very second, you're looking for a 25-minute threshold. They are just above 26 minutes on the on the time possession, which is really, really good. You're happy with that, but it probably will update to about 27 minutes because this wouldn't have updated yet. Completion rate, this is where you're losing the game, Newcastle. 80% is where you're looking for. That is exactly the marker. The Knights are at 68%. So they're 12% below the marker, 13 from 19 on the completion rate. You just can't do that against the Panthers. If you are giving away error after error after error, which we saw early doors, the Panthers will capitalise at some stage. It took the Panthers a little bit to capitalise, but then they did. And then since then, they haven't looked back. And that's why they're leading 20. They were led 24-0 and now 24-6. They just never looked back. So the Knights have just given that early momentum, that early push to the Panthers, which they don't need. They'll do it themselves, but they'll take it for free if they're going to get it. And that's what's happened with the Knights today with 68% completion rate. 81% for the Panthers. Good rate. 18 from 22. Not complaining. They're happy with that. And then we go to the attack runs-wise, Knights 86 runs for 637 run meters. So they are currently 223 run meters behind the 10 meters an average per run that you're looking for. They have had plenty of runs. They're not making run meters. That's disappointing. That is a really, really lackluster amount of meters compared to the amount of runs that you've had. So that is a key telling sign the Panthers defense is on point today and they're limiting you getting a lot of room, movement, and we expected that. This is an expectation. We go to the runs, the Panthers, 107 runs with 1,005 run meters. They're above the 1,000, as I always say. If you get above 1,000 meters and a half, doesn't matter in regards to 10 meters an average per run, you are very happy with that first half. It's now 108 for 1,013. So they are 67 run meters behind the 10 meters average per run, but that's far shorter than the 226 that you're seeing behind for the Knights. So even if you gave the 10 minutes an average per run of the Knights to get the 22 extra runs to take them to 108, that would be 220 run meters, which is still unfair because they're nowhere close. They're well below the 10 minutes average per run. But even if you did that, they would still only be at 850. So even if you gave them an extremely unfair boost in regards to equaling out the runs, they would still be down by about 160 meters on the attack. The Panthers are just whooping them in regards to the run meters. And then when you go to the post-contact meters, 247 here for the Panthers, 182 there for the Newcastle Knights. So that is roughly about 65-70 or so in regards to the switch up there with the 22 extra runs for the Panthers. Knights probably get to around the 220, 230 marker, so the Panthers are slightly in front there to decently in front, slightly to decently in front. Line breaks, 5-1 to the Panthers. I go back to this Warriors game yesterday. Remember when I said 7-0 on line breaks, 7-2 line breaks, you should be up by a lot? Well, we saw that with the game yesterday with the Rabbitohs, and we've seen it again with the Panthers. This is what I meant when I'm saying that when you have this kind of line breaks, you really should be up by a big margin. And obviously, the Panthers are up 24-6 with 5-1 line breaks. This is what I'm talking about. And the reason why I keep referring back to that game is just to re-enhance and re-emphasize the point that was being made at that time. So you didn't think that was being unfair. This is just the reasoning. And the Rabbitohs Storm game was the reasoning for why I was suggesting the Warriors should be up by a lot more right now. And they were down at the time too, mind you. Tackle breaks. Panthers 29. Awful amount of missed tackles from the Knights. Knights 16. Normal amount of missed tackles there for the Panthers. That is a big gap of 29 to 16 tackle breaks. And go to the average set distance. 25 metres and below is awful. Turn the stream off. 25 to 30 is disgusting, pathetic. 30 to 35 is underwhelming. 35 to 40 is hitting the marker. 40 to 45 is great. 45 to 50 is fantastic. And 50 plus is basically perfect. The Knights are at 33.64. So they're in the underwhelming category. They're not getting a great amount of meters whatsoever. They're not at the 35 meter threshold. It's disappointing. For the Panthers, they're at 44.36. So they're up by about 11 meters or so on the Newcastle Knights right now. That's in the great category, getting close to fantastic category. They're very happy with that overall. That's a spectacular amount of meters. So 11 meters they're winning that battle by. You go to the average play the ball speed, 3.19 seconds. This is insane. 3.19 seconds and below is extremely fast. 3.2 to 3.39 is fast. 3.4 to 3.59 is average. 3.6 to 3.79 is slow. And 3.8 and above is extremely slow. The Newcastle Knights are at 3.48 seconds. So that's normal speed. Nothing too flashy. Nothing too slow. It's okay. Well, the Panthers, they're at 2.88 seconds. They're sub 3 seconds right now. Again, 3.19 seconds and below is extremely fast. They are 2.88 seconds. That is one of the speediest playable speeds that you are ever going to see. That is really fast there from the Panthers. Gee whiz, that's really fast. Offloads. The Knights are getting away a lot of offloads, 10 to 6 in that department. And then we move to the kick defusal of 67%. The Panthers are 33%. And then we move down to the effective tackle percentage, and both teams actually aren't performing at a good level here at all. Both teams definitely not making a great ground in this department. So effective tackle percentage, 85% below is awful, 85% to 88% is underwhelming, 88% to 90% is hitting the marker, and 90% above is basically perfect. 83.26% here for the Knights, not good, that's awful. 184 tackles made, it's slightly above the typical 160, 180. The missed tackles is 29 though, which the average is 15 and 17. So that's 12 extra tackles, 12 extra missed tackles than the average. That's really poor from Newcastle. The 8 in effective tackles is also one above the average of 5 to 7. So it's not great there. 37 bad tackles in the first half deserves to be criticised. That is not good there from Newcastle whatsoever. And there's a justification for why they're down 24-6 as we speak. That is poor defense. But the Panthers, 82.89%. They're in the awful category too, and worse off than the Knights right now. 155 tackles made, so they're under the typical 160 to 180 by 5. The missed tackles is 16, so they're on the average, but they've got a whopping 16 ineffective tackles. That is 9 ineffective tackles more than the average. That is ridiculous. You're not going to see too many higher ineffective tackle counts at half time. You know, so they're still 32 bad tackles themselves with a lot less, well, with 29 less tackles made. They've got, like 5 less bad tackles in the first half. So Panthers' defense hasn't been great. And the Knights' defense hasn't been great. But it's still 24-6 here to the Panthers. They're not complaining too much about it, but that defense does definitely need work from both those teams, and especially from the Panthers, actually. Negative play. Wow, a lot of errors in this game. So 3 and below is really good. 4 to 6 is average, and 7 above is awful. Well, we're back to the Knights of last year in regards to the errors, because they're at 7. That is really poor. That is the awful category. And the Panthers, they're at 5. That's not something you expect from them. They're in the middle of the average of 4 to 6. You go to the penalties conceded, 1-1. Ruck infringements, 1-1. Inside 10 metres, 1-1. On reports, 1-0 Panthers. So overall, like, this is a very typical Penrith stat line at half time. They do usually fall away-ish in the second half. I don't think they clock off, but they're just not as dominant in second halves as they were in the first half. So yeah, I'm hesitant to back in the Panthers going on and just slapping this down and winning by an absolute mozza. But I think that there was a scoreline prediction before saying that the Panthers could win this like 36-12 or 36-16 kind of deal. I think that could be definitely a case. I still got the Panthers to score a couple more tries here. It would be nice to see them pull away for once, which they don't usually do in second halves. From their perspective, it'd be nice to see them pull away for once. But the Knights have every opportunity to give them that too. They are not a second half team whatsoever. So that's what is a negative plight on the Newcastle Knights. But we'll see. Knights, you just don't want to lose this points differential right now. Your points differential is tanking like crazy. You know, you lost well last week, you lost well the week beforehand, and now you're losing well right now. You're already at -2. You're starting to come back into a range. Right now, on -2, you will go down by 18 right now. So you'll be -20. You're now in the same predicament as the Bulldogs, as the Dolphins, and as the Titans. Because the Titans have -30, the Dolphins have -29, the Bulldogs -33, you'll be -20. And that's at halftime. So if you lose by another 13 points or more, you go below all of those teams in the points differential. All of them. So you need to at least make this close, man. Because right now, your points differential has tanked dramatically over the last couple of weeks. Real Grammatically says they're up by 18 at half time last week against the Finns too. There's my little Panthers hater. You never want to look at anything in regards to context. You just want to look at that the things that go for your agenda and for your narrative against the Panthers. Blake says, other than that obvious Bulldogs game, Talungi's defence has been much improved this year. Yeah, I would agree. His defence has been solid, but overall, I think he's been disappointing for the Panthers. I think that he's been absolutely carried in the halves by Nathan Cleary, which is obvious, and I don't think that I don't think that Blaze can ever really be the star here of this Panthers team, because Cleary is always going to be the one taking the limelight, and I think Blaze should be happy with that and should be okay with that if he wants to win a premiership. It wants to, because he wasn't there for the Panthers when they won those premierships, so I think he should be happy to take that step back and allow Cleary to be the guy. But I have wanted a lot more out of Blaze Talungi in regards to the attack, in my opinion, and I don't think that he's had a spectacular season at all. Sam says, what was your account name before this one? It's Email King himself. Trey says, wonder if this will be the week Jenkins isn't on the score sheet. Yeah, look, it'd be interesting. They're not really getting too many great balls out to the wings. They're not really going down. They're actually trying to go down more so of the Brian Tuttle side, but they haven't really scored out there either. Alamotti and Brian Tuttle is where they've been kind of looking more so here today, but they haven't been able to get the job done on that side either. They've been scoring through Dylan Edwards up the middle. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he can keep it up. But right now it's not looking likely. X-Factor says, do you think Storm can come back from 2 wins, 6 losses like Panthers did last year? X-Factor, you already asked me this question and I already gave you an in-depth response at the beginning of the stream. Home in the NRL says, kind of interesting how the Dogs have started this year like the Knights last year. With Adam O'Brien, is there any concern? Adam O'Brien is absolutely concerned. What do you mean, is there any concern? Yeah, there is definite concern with Adam O'Brien. There is 1,000,000%. 1,000,000% concern with Adam O'Brien. Knights fans, they are through the roof happy that they are through the roof happy that Adam O'Brien's not there anymore. I would start Jack Colger over Blaze Talungi. I would completely disagree with you. Let's not get it twisted. I'm not saying that Blaze Talungi is not good. I called him as my breakout play this year. I think that he can be great, but I don't think that he's been spectacular. But to say that you're going to start Jack Colger over Talungi is just no way. No way. Home in the NRL says 2.8 seconds play the ball is Origin-like. Yeah, for sure, man. It is. That's really fast stuff. You don't usually see that in the NRL whatsoever. Not at all. We're still here at halftime waiting for them to come out in the field. Just give me 1 second here, guys. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. It'll be 1 second. Alright, we are back. We're going to do this one. We'll see you on your next fakie. And alrighty. So the Knights are about to be, gee whiz. The Knights are about to be the ones kicking this ball off here. They're going to have a big turnaround here in the second half. Alright, Sam, let me go have a look at this super coach. So if anyone doesn't know, I've said it a couple of times this week, but I'm playing Sam Jenko in the chat in my Supercoach Draft League this week. And I was down by, I think, 100 or so prior to today, but I have Nathan Cleary to play, and my captain as Nathan Cleary, and Brian Toto, whilst he's got Blaze Talungi and Jack Williams. I'm up 753 to 680 right now, but again, Cleary's captain, Brian Toto in game, and he's got Blaze Talungi in game. I just need to hope that Blaze Talungi doesn't score, but he's also got Jack Williams later on to play. So I'm up by 70 with this second half. I just need Cleary to keep on cracking on and maybe Brian Tuttle to score a try. But we're underway. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. It's iPapa. He brings it out of the 25 here on third tackle. Jared says, how is draft Supercoach different to regular Supercoach? I'm not well versed in Supercoach. So basically, in draft, only one team can have that player. So I'm the only person in the entire league who has Nathan Cleary. It's like an NFL draft, an NFL fantasy. It's like if someone selects one player, that's the only person that can have that player. And then the draft is whoever gets first pick. I got first pick. I chose Nathan Cleary. Second pick was like Reece Welch or Payne Haas or something like that. And then it goes down. But long story short, only one team can have a certain player. So then it comes down to the depth that you can muster up outside of it and having, knowledge to get a well-rounded team. Sam says, clear to get concussed, Talanga to take over. So let's not encourage injuries in general. We don't do that here on the channel, man. God bless Nathan Cleary. But, I get that you're taking the piss, but we don't like to encourage injuries here on the channel, regardless. I would rather lose than to see anybody get injured. Only else is, bro, Adam O'Brien was a development coach of the Storm during the 2010s and was the assistant coach of the Roosters in 2019. Stayed around very successful teams, yet is messing up other teams. Well, that's suggesting that Adam O'Brien doesn't really have the ability to do it on his own. He was able to be a big, maybe not a big part, but he was able to be a part of teams in their successful times, but that then doesn't necessarily translate to him being able to do it successful. Panthers now bring it to the third tackle to the 40. That is pretty good to play. Yeah, well, I play NFL fantasy with the drafts, and I play Premier League fantasy and baseball fantasy. Baseball and NBA fantasy is so tough, man, because you've got, especially baseball, 162 games, and it's a lot of changing and looking every day, and it's like a full-time job doing baseball fantasy. Nathan Cleary here on the last of the 25. Blake Salone kicks the ball over the top, and Fletcher Sharp grabs his ball at the 13. 2.5 minutes in. Baseball fantasy is the hardest in the world. If anybody can tell me I'm wrong, please feel free to try. Because you have 162 games in a season. You have teams playing like 6 games a week. You've got pitcher battles. You've got form. It's just so hard, man. If you can be the best baseball fantasy player in the world, I'll take my hat off to you because it is so difficult. And then the Knights will get taken down here at the 30 on fifth tackle. Now remember, people get up and down about a 27-round NRL season because of a couple of buys. I'm telling you, if you go and do it for other sports, you will lose your mind. even NBA with 82 games. So Thomas Jenkins brings this ball out now to the 35, and he'll get it off to Case McLean with a good run to the 50 on second tackle. Blaze Salungi, he steps around. He'll get this ball now to the 40 on third tackle. I would take a loss here if we could see Blaze Salungi really improve on the attack. I would genuinely take a loss. I want to see Blaze Salungi be the player that I know that he can be. Give it to Billy Phillips. Isayo to the line. He'll be at the 20 on fifth tackle now. I would actually take a loss to see him get into some form. Cleary to Alamotti. Alamotti passes it to Brian To'o. Then he gets it back to Nathan Cleary, kicks this ball through, and the Knights will get that ball down at the 3. They get the ball. No, don't offload that there, Dylan Brown. Fletcher Sharp at the 3. Was there a Lily Phillips playing? There's not a Lily Phillips playing. There is a Billy Phillips playing, though. Yeah. Such a bait signing by me. Well, yeah, Blaze Salongi is a bit of a hard one for Supercoach because, again, Nathan Cleary is always going to be the guy that's leading. And I considered actually trying to trade with you with Blaze Salongi, but I realised that it's nearly impossible for them. Oh, is that a knock on here from the Panthers? I think it is. 6 again. Yeah, first tackle here for the Knights at the 20. Well, 0 tackle because it is an accidental knock on from the Panthers. It's nearly impossible for you to see both Nathan Cleary and Blaze Salongi absolutely dominate week to week in regards to how this team is set up and just in general with halves. You're not usually going to see both halves getting, for Supercoach purposes, both halves just absolutely crushing it. Is there a team that has 2 halves that crush it on a week-to-week basis? Yeah, so Luai never did well in Supercoach as well because Nathan Cleary is always going to be the guy. So that's why I expect probably a bit too much out of... Oh, it's a knock-on. Oh, well, he actually caught that. Well done, Fletcher Sharp. 4 tackle at the 48. That's why I think I expect a little bit too much out of Blaze Salongi because he's not able to really explode. Look at Munster's struggles at the Storm, and even when the Storm are going well, Munster and Hughes don't necessarily translate into massive points. But it's very difficult with Supercoach getting past the thought process of the best players in the game don't always necessarily translate into the best players on Supercoach. Even though it's a good reflection, but that's the stats. You know, if you're a big stats man, Supercoach is your favorite thing in history because it directly reflects the stats. But it also doesn't necessarily reflect anything in regards to off the ball and what players are doing in general in the game overall. Like, you can see players have pretty good games and get jack shit, really. 4 tackle at the 45. And Scotty Sorensen brings it to the 50, gets an offload away to Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards then to Nathan... No, that's Billy Phillips. And Billy Phillips will be at the 40. I do believe Talangi's best position is fullback, but right now he's going to have to make it work at 6. Well, he's never going to be able to play the fullback. Case McLean, Thomas Jenkins. Jenkins back onto the inside. Sam, you had a bit of a heart attack there because Cleary was running on the inside. That kick was actually kind of for Nathan Cleary there. Dom Young brings it to the 30. Up the Gold Coast Titan says Panthers are gay because they are wearing pink. That is one of the most childish comments I've ever seen in my life. 4 tackled here for the Knights, and they're going to be at the 40. Jacob says, are Manly a chance now for a good season, or do you think they'll fall off? I think they'll equal out, man. Oh, knock on from the Knights to the 40, and the Panthers will go on the attack. Harrison Graham, who I actually have liked this year for the Knights, he will knock this ball on. I do like Harrison Graham, though. Sean says, don't like pink, mate. I won't wear pink, but, like, I don't care for it. Like, if I wanted to wear pink, I'd wear pink. I'm pretty confident. I'm very confident in my sexuality, man. Like, just because I wear pink. Well, I don't wear pink, and it's just not my kind of thing. But I don't care. If guys wear pink, it's up to them, man. Like, who cares about a colour? If you're wearing pink and kissing a dude, then maybe that's going to tell you a lot. But if you're wearing pink and you're not kissing a dude, that doesn't mean jack. You know, so the Panthers are at the 15. And their first tackle. I don't know why people feel the need to comment that, Olivia. It baffles me. So Billy Phillips, he's going to be 5 metres away here from the line. Second tackle. They're going to roll it back to Freddie Lussick. Lussick to Isaiah Yo. Isaiah Yo goes it himself. He'll be 2 metres away from the line. I had pink socks on last night at the club. Panthers, Freddie Lussick. I think he scored. No, he hasn't scored. He'll be, I think, held up. Sutton's going to go to the bunker here. A big night at the old Chiang Mai, did you, Sean? Or where you're not in Chiang Mai, but for reference for everyone. It's just kind of just a general reference. Had a big night, did you? I don't think Freddie Lussick actually scores this. He didn't come up celebrating like crazy. Oh, I think he does. I think that touches the blade of grass. It's a try for Freddie Lussick. This is a try for Freddie Lussick. It does touch a blade of grass. There you go, right there. This is a try. It's about to be 30 points to 6. I think next week we should wear pink. I don't have anything pink, though. Yep, this is a try. There we go. Freddie Lussick. He's played 2 games this year. He scored 2 tries. Actually, Blake, I know you're like heavily invested in like fantasy Supercoach kind of deal, and this goes for anyone who's heavily invested in fantasy Supercoach. Think about it from a draft perspective. What would you do with Cameron Munster? Because I've got Munster, and his points are not good enough. And it's just like but the 5'8" position isn't exactly spectacular in Supercoach. Like the 5'8" position doesn't exactly bring a whole heap of points elsewhere anyway. But Munster's name is so strong. And there is always that chance of a turnaround that you don't want to get rid of him. But I feel like it's even though I may win this week against Sam, the point matter is that it's a concern with him getting consistent 20s to 40s. So what would you do? Yeah, that comeback's going to be real tough now, Brighton. Real tough now. Jared says, Lussick does love to score like that. Good on him. Well, there's the kick from Nathan Cleary, and it's 30 points to 6. With 30 minutes to go here at the game, folks, hit that thumbs up button. And subscribe if you're new around here. Ads Games is clearly knock on. I didn't think it was a knock on. Maybe I'm blind. I could be blind. Sean says, real men wear pink. No, real men wear whatever the hell they want to wear. You can wear whatever you want. Now, if you're wearing one of those, like, T-shirts that are just, like, there's holes all in them, it's just, like, the black, and it's just showing your entire upper body, That's a bit strange for mine. But also, I don't give a shit what people wear. You can wear whatever you want, man. I would find that quite dubious. You would look pretty effeminate if you wore one of those shirts that are just like whole cutouts and just showing your body. But I also don't give a shit if that's what you want to do. I don't care what anybody else wears. I definitely don't care if you want to wear pink. Expert says, I just went back to watch your in-depth answer to the question. Thanks for your analysis. Appreciate it. All good, Expert. That's why when you said it again, I was just like, I already answered you, man. Isaiah Yo, he's going to bring this ball out here to the 35 on third tackle. Yeah, fishnet. There we go. The fishnet is for the ladies, not for the men. Yeah, but again, I don't care if you want to wear it, but that would be very effeminate for mine, yeah. Lack of options in 5A. I think you just have to keep Munster. He can still have big games. He can, but I'm waiting. I'm really waiting, man. Really waiting. Fit tackle now at the 40. And Freddie Lussick to Nathan Cleary. He puts that ball up high in the air. And knock on in from the Knights. Actually, and this question now goes across to Brian To'o, because there is actually options in the wing position outside, but Brian To'o is not scoring great points. So you can have a big game, but ultimately they're more so fancying Thomas Jenkins' side, not really going down Brian To'o's side. So would you keep Brian To'o or would you move him on? Considering that there are plenty of options on the wings. By the way, I picked up Matty Duffy for this week because I had Keanu Kinney on the bye. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to keep Matty Duffy. He's been playing so good for the Rabbitohs. I've been so impressed by him. And I'm definitely playing next week against this Knights team right now as we speak. Rabbitohs will be definitely fancying themselves right now. 6 again here for the Panthers. They are 15 metres away from the line. Freddie Lussick to Scotty Sorensen. He's 10 metres away. Panthers are all over him at the moment. That second half fall off, that slip off is not really coming. Nathan Cleary to Luke Garner. He pushes off of one. Oh, he's very close. 2 metres away from the line. They give it to Isaiah Yo. Short ball. Billy Phillips is 3 metres away from the line. They give it to Nathan Cleary. Cleary, Blaise Talangi, and Talangi will be taken down to the 3. That would have been funny, Sam, because I would have got the assist and you would have got the try. Case McLean, Isaiah Papali'i, Nathan Cleary. Cleary off to Isaiah Yo. Short ball, 3 metres out from the line. Fit tackle. Matt Duffy's a freak. No, Matt Duffy has been a freak this year. He's been great. Nathan Cleary, short ball, knock on by Luke Garner. And the Knights will get it. They'll get the offload away. Fletcher Hunt, 0 tackle at the 13. But also Strauss, all the good 5'8s will be taken, wouldn't they? Yeah, all the good 5'8s are taken. And that's why I think I'll probably just stick with Munster. But Brian To'o is probably a more interesting question, because there are plenty of centre wing options out there that I could go with outside of Brian To'o. Like, I do have Katoni Staggs, and I've got... Actually, who do I have? Katoni Staggs and Taylor May. I'm happy with Taylor May, and I'm happy with Katoni Staggs, but just Brian To'o, don't know about. Third tackle here at the 40. Especially with... Oh, no way here. The Knights right on through. Dylan Brown straight through the line. Dylan Edwards, will he be able to chase him? Will he be able to chase him? Will he be able to get him? Will he be able to get him? No, he will not. Dylan Brown. Good run. Good run from Dylan Brown. Breaks from the 50, and he will score a huge try for the Newcastle Knights. It is 30 points to 10 here with a kick to come. Well, at least as long as they get this conversion, they'll still only be down by 18 points. Keep it respectable. If they score another try, it's more than respectable. Good run there from Dylan Brown. I mean, there was so much for someone to say Lussick wasn't going to play well that you had no evidence to say he would. Who said this? I didn't say this. Maybe you're misinterpreting. If you're talking about me, you're misinterpreting it. I said that Lussick is probably the only question mark that you could have about this Panthers team. But also, I did mention that he scored in his previous game, and the only reason that Lussick is the question mark is because he's not usually the first choice over Mitch Kenny. That doesn't mean that I thought it was going to be bad, and it doesn't mean that I think he's bad. And for the most part, I do usually say that Lussick's not a bad player. He's just not their first choice, so that's the only question that you can bring in through their 1 through 17. Oh, someone else in the chat did fair. Jai Sarah says, who do you follow? I'm a Titans fan. Roger Majesty says, beautiful try, love it. You're a knob, man. You're a knob. Blake says, I would get rid of Bids and probably all our attack goes left and he will miss a lot of games through Origin. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Origin's a pretty key thing to bring up there. So Sandon Smith They will get the conversion. So it is a 30 points to 12 game with 26 minutes to go. Well, another try would make it interesting. But still very hard to come back. I would actually like to see that. It would be great to see the Knights come back, but we'll also hate it because that means we'd see another 30-30 kind of game. We'd see another really high-scoring game. I feel bad, Titan, when they lose. I'm a Panthers fan, yeah, but the Titans are never going to lose a game ever again. They didn't lose this week, and they'll never lose again. It's just as simple as that, really. I don't know if they'll ever lose. No. I'm looking into the future right now, and all I can see is 50-point wins. All I can see is 60-point wins. Maybe even 80-point wins at this point, yes. We have a good chance to get a win next week against the Raiders, actually. Especially with it being at Seabus too. Dom Young will be at 20. Not that I really rate heavily home ground advantage nowadays as much for anybody overall. And the Knights are going to bring this ball to the 30. Come on, Nui. I want him to make a game of it at the very least. Forward tackle. I still feel like even if the Knights came back, the Panthers would just find a way to win, which is what they did last week against the Dolphins. But it would be nice to see them come back and make it interesting at the very least. Because both these games today, like this one was expected to be a blowout. I did say Panthers 1-12. I thought that maybe we'd be able to see the Knights turn up a little bit and Panthers to be a bit tired after the humidity of last week in Darwin. So I'd be okay with 1-12 too. That's what I was thinking. But this was fully expected. And the Manly Eels game could be anything, dude. It could be absolutely anything. Christianus is Dylan Brown worth every penny. It's a lot of money. We'll see. At the end of the day, they're still down 30-12 right now and are only going to be 2 points away from the bottom four. But it has been a positive start. However, their positive start has actually kind of been without Dylan Brown too. Most of their early season games were without Dylan Brown the halves. And I'm not saying it's Dylan Brown's fault. I'm not. I'm just pointing it out there that we haven't really seen anything from Dylan Brown just yet. They kick this to the right-hand side, and good take from James Schiller. And he'll get away from one tackle, and he'll bring this ball out here. Wow, we'll get away from another tackle, bring it out to 25. Nelson says Knight basically have the Kiwi spine now that Ponga has switched over. Brown 6, KB 1 across a 9. Dylan Brown again. Well, okay, maybe he is worth all that money as he's currently getting them back into the game. Should have passed that ball to Fletcher Sharp. Second tackle at the 30. Well, at least he's turning this game on its head. The Knights out to the right to Sandon Smith. And they'll be taken down to the 25. Great run from Dylan Brown. Polly Royal says, does anyone think Lee Hopewado, Josh Adokar, Will Penasini will be combined for 2 tries? I think that game could be anything, man. I would keep that. I would leave that in. 4 tackle here at the 20. Phoenix Crossland. He'll go to Dylan Brown at the 20. Out the back to Sandon Smith. Then to Fletcher Sharp. Fletcher Sharp to Fletcher Hunt. And he will throw the ball over the sideline. Well, really good stuff there from the Knights until it all went tits up and he's over the sideline. Knights, mate, the next game could be a 50-all draw. It definitely could be. It could be anything, that game. It could be anything, Manly versus Eels. It could be a 50-point win to Manly. It could be a 50-point win to the Eels. It could be a 50-50 draw. But there should be plenty of points in it. The interesting thing to note, though, to go back to your point, Blake, about Brian To'o and them going down the left-hand side of Jenkins all the time, is that today they have actually gone away from Jenkins, and they have tried to force that ball more so down the Alamonte and Brian To'o side from what I've seen. Not that it's really done anything of note so far. They get this ball across to Blaze Talangi. Talangi, he'll get taken down to the 25 on second tackle. But yeah, the Knights do have the Kiwi spine, just minus Jerome Hughes. Billy Phillips to the 33 on third tackle. Panthers have noticeably slowed down, though. This is what they do. Dylan Edwards, you don't want to keep this crowd in the contest. You don't want to keep the Knights with a chance because they can attack. Nathan Cleary, 40-20 attempt, but it's not even going to have anywhere close to the angle on it. And it had the distance, but didn't have anywhere close to the angle on it. For nothing, says how long's left in the game? 22 minutes. So still a long time. I hope Dylan Brown keeps playing like this for the Knights, looking unreal. He's had those 2 good moments today. Outside of that, nothing really happened in the first half, but in the second half, he's definitely had a really good time. Again, though, Dylan Brown this season, the Knights' wins have ultimately actually came more so when he wasn't in the team. And again, not blaming Dylan Brown, I'm just saying that is an observation. Yeah, true. They must like running at sharp more than Gagai, I guess. Yeah. So 4 tackle now for the Knights. Matt Croker at the 45. Crossland to Sanders Smith, and he'll be taken down to the 50 on 5th tackle. Okay, so to get everyone just got up for the Manly match. How you doing? Going all right, mate, into another FA Cup final with the Lions, son. But the Panthers will get this ball here at the 5, and Thomas Jenkins. Leroy Jenkins. Brian Tottle now with the ball. Jenkins passed to Tottle. You don't usually see that. Tottle gets through the line, gets away from 2 tackles. Sam Ace to see it. It will be at the 30. And Nathan Cleary then to Paul Alamotti, and Alamotti is going to bring this ball out to the 40 now. This is a good set from the Panthers. Second tackle. 20 minutes gone in the second half. 20 minutes to go of the game. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. And we will be live for Manly versus the Eels right after this. Leota. They get it out to Dylan Edwards. Then to Blaze Lungi. His eye pop. No, that now Casey McLean. And Casey McLean will be at the 40 on 4th tackle on the... And no, I didn't get much sleep, guys. Not at all. So I'm doing my best. And they'll be at the 40 on the night side of the field. Cleary goes across. Then they get it up to Paul Alamotti. Alamotti steps. He gives it to Brian Tottle. Brian Tottle's away. Tottle steps back on the inside. Brian Tottle's away. Back on the inside for Cleary. Oh, and then Cleary throws the ball straight to Pasami Saulo. They must have been calling for it. He must have been calling for it as a Panther, and he's just giving the ball straight to Saulo. It's hard to blame Cleary there. Solo would have been calling for that ball, and that's going to be a penalty for offside here against the Panthers. He would have been calling for that ball, and then just he gets done dirty. That's too funny, bro. That's too funny. Should have been a try for the Panthers, but that's too funny. And a penalty against Cleary too, so he must have been frustrated with that just then. All right, the Knights, they'll be at the 45. JT says, but you should the UFC card next week. We're heavily prioritising the NRL right now. We're going to start doing a lot more Australia games in international sports. FIFA World Cup, obviously, is a good start for that. But I don't want to diversify too much because then I'm not able to do it every single week. And then we'll get subscribers who specifically want UFC, and I can't do it every single week. I can't do it for every single time because usually the Rugby League is on during those events. They go out to the right. We used to do everything. But then you realise you just kind of diversify too much and you're limited in what you're able to do across the board. Didn't someone get penalised last year pretending to be a ref? Maybe. I can't think of it. 4th tackle now at the 20. Fletcher Hunt to Sanders Smith. Across to Matt Croker. Croker at the 25. Dylan Brown. He'll kick that ball through. There's nobody on the wing, though, for the Knights, and Jenkins will just let that ball go over the sideline. Classic bit right there. O'Cleary. So I'm up by 100. I just need Jack Williams to not have a big game today. I really need Jack Williams to not have a big game for the Eels. Dylan Edwards will be at the 15. Oh, yes, the walking knock on Josh Curran, not the spirit. Not the spirit of the game moment. I remember it now, yeah. Brian Tuttle, second tackle here at the 20. They go to Moses Leota, and Leota will be at the 25 on 3rd tackle. Yeah, I remember that now. Interesting that we brought Tunga on. He must be playing back row. So the Panthers will be at the 34 on 4 tackle. Knights defending really well on this set, though. Isaiah Yeo, big run all the way to the 50. Great run there from Isaiah Yeo. Very needed. That was Curran that got penalised, saying it was 5th tackle and got penalised. Yeah, not in the spirit of the game. Very funny. Lagan loves Josh Curran. Big fan. Well, James Schiller's complaining about something here with his right leg. God bless him. I think he's okay, but he is limping a little bit. The walking knock on. Oh, well, there's a knock on. No, that's come off the foot, actually, of the Knights. It's 3rd tackle, and they're only at their 10, though, so that is a worry for Newcastle, especially when they definitely need a try very quickly to get back into this game. Newcastle, the 20 on 4 tackle, not a good set whatsoever. Crossland goes to the right, and they'll be at the 30 now on 5th tackle. Panthers just know how to grind this out. They just know. At 13 metres gain through 5 tackles is insane, by the way. That goes straight down the throat to Dylan Edwards. And he'll take it to the 30. He'll probably get out to about the 40. There's actually some space here on the left wing. And Edwards gets it off to Casey McLean. McLean steps. He gets through 1 tackle. And he'll be at the 45 on the right side of the field. This Bit of worry when Josh Curran is probably the marquee signing for the Bears so far. Yeah, that's true. Who else would it be? Brian To'o gets the ball across, and they're at the 30 now. Well, that'll be a penalty if you take him over sideline, Schiller. Brian To'o to pull Alamotti. Alamotti takes this ball inside to the 18 now on third tackle. Nathan Cleary at the 15. If they score here, it's game. And it'll be 10 metres away, fourth tackle. Him or Wishart. Ugh, if you're telling me those are the marquee signings, yikes. Leota, Edwards, over the top here. Brian To'o will score a try in the corner. Brian To'o will score a try. I don't know how this ball definitely looked like it was like forward, or it's actually a knock on here from the Newcastle Knights. And Brian To'o will score in a corner, and you should pack it up. The Panthers are up 34-12 with 16 minutes to go here to game. Keep Bizza, Blake. Keep Bizza. Brian To'o. Sam hates to see him coming. He will score. And, yeah, Edwards just steps on the inside. And then, yeah, it is touched there by the Newcastle Knight. And then Brian To'o picks it up and scores in the corner. To'o with the try. And then there's this great Sifatalakai marquee. I see Sifatalakai. Is he signed with the Perth Bears, is he? Is he signed there? That... Who... Like... It's Josh Curran. Tyron Wishart. Toby Sexton. See Sifatalakai. Is Talakai signed with him? If so, that is the most random team ever. Knights showing why they're on fraud alert. Yeah, well, unfortunately for the Newcastle Knights, they're going to drop out of the 8. They're going to drop out of the top 9. They're not even going to be on the ladder after today. The Sharks. Oh, well, you'll get to see the Sharks again, lads. They're going straight on scam. When I update this table, I'm telling you right now, we're going to go from a fraud alert to a scam. If you think the Sharks aren't on scam, they are the biggest scammers that ever did scam. The Sharks will come back onto this next stream. They'll come back into this table in 9th position, and they will be on the fattest scam that ever did fat. Fattest scam ever. Ain't no way the Sharks are going up. The Sharks are going up into the top 9, yeah. Because the Knights just need to lose this game by 4 points or more, and they're currently down by 22. If Nathan Cleary gets this, it's 24. Nathan Cleary will miss the kick. So it will stay 34-12 with 14 minutes to go here. Yeah, the Knights are on -2. The Sharks are -6. So, yeah, they'll be well below the Sharkies on the points differential. Well below them. All right. 14 minutes and 19 seconds to go. Talakai signed with the Bears. It happened in February. It really went under the radar. Yeah, that's a very under the radar. I completely forgot or didn't even know it. I wouldn't say Toby Sexton is a marquee. I know Tobes, but I wouldn't say he's a marquee per se. Moses Leota is at the 15. I cannot believe the Sharks are going to benefit from this. I just can't believe it. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. I don't believe it. Isaac Tungo, he'll bring this ball out to the 30 for the Panthers on third tackle. I don't think we're going to be seeing a Fetty bomb here, but it is possible. Lindsay Smith, if he had got that ball to Nathan Cleary at the back, they were probably away on the left wing just now. Fourth tackle at the 45. Not a great deal of 6 against here today, which has been good to watch. Isaiah Papali'i, he'll be at the 40 on the Knights side of the field. And Nathan Cleary. Now they go back to Thomas Jenkins' side. He has not scored a try today. His first time this season, I think. Off onto Sharp. He'll get this ball to the 35 on first tackle. I think that would be his first no try this season. Someone can confirm that if true. If he doesn't score in this next 13 minutes. Perth have mainly signed good players, could be great, but haven't got a lot of first grade. I wouldn't even say good players could be great. I'd say they've signed okay players that are decent. But I'm telling you, that team right now is looking like a bottom 4 team. But we also said this about the Dolphins, and I think they finished like just outside the bottom 4 maybe. Fudger Sharp, he'll be at the 40 on fifth tackle. Yeah, he scored multiple tries every game, yeah. I think two tries every game so far, at minimum. Against the Roosters, I think he scored 4, but I think he's scored 2 tries every game. This one, he hasn't, unfortunately, got a try in it. And that's a knock-on from Newcastle, so the Panthers will get the ball at 25. Yeah, it seems like 5 or 6 again. It's been great not having to hear that sound go off. It's been, yeah, brilliant. And Mal Meninga is also improving as an NRL coach. As an NRL coach, yes, but I think that Mal is not as amazing. Oh, Nathan Cleary goes to the run himself, brings it to the 45 on second tackle. I don't rate Mal that much. Like when he was at the Titans, I don't know what he did. Still trying to figure it out. Third tackler at the 45. Still lived in Canberra too. Didn't even live on the Gold Coast. Dylan Edwards. They will go off to Nathan Cleary. He'll get tackled in the line at the 35. That was a really pointless play there. Isaiah Yo, Blaze Salungi. And he'll be at 33. Nathan Cleary. He put that ball into the corner. The chase through. Knock on from James Schiller. Isaac Tungo. Brian To'o. I'm keeping him in the team, Blake. I'm keeping him in my Supercoach team, Blake. Brian To'o for a double. And it's 38-12 with a kid to come. He's staying in the team, Blake. How dare you tell me to get rid of Brian To'o? How dare you? How dare you, Blake, tell me to get rid of Brian To'o? You need serious help, son. You need serious help. That is a disgrace that you suggested that. Oh, my gosh. Blake, I want you to go to the bathroom right now, and I want you to get a bar of soap and wash your mouth out with soap to tell me to get rid of Brian To'o. I've always believed in him. I've never not believed in him. I've always been a big, heavy believer in Brian To'o. Oh, my gosh. I'm pretty sure the head of football at the Bears has left too. Yeah, they're in a shambles already internally and organisationally. He's done a good step there on Fletcher Hunt too, and it's a strong try in the corner, obviously. A ball hasn't been kicked for the Bears, and their head of football is gone. Yes. Well, I'm telling you, the North Sydney Bears are going to think that the top dogs of that organisation because of the experience, even though their experience is getting kicked out of competitions. Polly says, good to see To'o back in try form. Well, it's because they've been going down his side. This is the problem. It's not been Brian To'o this year. Brian To'o's had a down year, but it's not even necessarily because of him. It's because they've been really force-feeding it down Thomas Jenkins' side. So he's not getting any of the ball. Today, there's been a noticeable shift where they are looking to go down Brian To'o's side in comparison. So 38-12 here with 10 minutes to go of the game, folks. Hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget, in 25 minutes' time, we'll be live for the final game of the round, the Manly Seagulls versus the Parramatta Squeals. And then next week, I won't be in Thailand anymore. I'll be back in Vietnam for the streams next week. I'll be back in old Vietnam from Wednesday. Have a bum move. Nathan Cleary missed this kick from the sideline before. Looked like it was... well, there's still actually a chance here for a Fiddy bomb, mind you. Have the Knights had Fiddy put past them this year? I don't think they have. Munster should sign for the Bears. It's a big question. I don't think it's a bad question. It's a big question, though, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think he would do, though. I think if he signed anywhere else, he'd want to go to Queensland. Nathan Cleary. He's missed that one really badly. He cannot work out this right-hand touchline today, and it's 38-12. 38-12. Okay, so I'm up by 140 on Sam and Supercoach. He's got Jack Williams to play. I've still got 8 minutes here with Cleary and To'o. To'o is going to end up on over 100. Beautiful. Would you take Munster at the Titans? I don't think I can say no, but I don't know what that really does for us right now. I wouldn't say necessarily no, because he does have unbelievable talent in his career. I don't think you would be able to say no to him, even though I know that we could have signed Harry Grant at one stage, and we didn't do that. I'm not going to go in depth about that, but there was a chance for us to sign Harry Grant. It was a really good chance. He was actually looking to come to Queensland, and the Titans didn't put it forward, which is disappointing, but that's a different story. I definitely would say yes to Harry Grant, but Munster, I don't necessarily think that helps our situation. However, I just couldn't say no to Munster, no. JC says I need that for the over. Well, 38-12 here to the Panthers with 9 minutes to go. They give it out to Nathan Cleary. Cleary underneath to Alamotti, and Alamotti slips over at the 45 on third tackle. Can they get the footy bomb? They're 12 points away from it. 2 converted tries is not out of the equation. Fourth tackle, Oliota looking for the offload. Can't do it though, he's at the 40. Fun fact, the last 6 recent teams finished outside the bottom 4 in their first NRL season. Last new team to finish bottom 4 in their first season was the Cowboys, who finished last in 1995. Yeah, fair. Well, it's because they've probably got that early hype. The early hype of a team, that's not a forward pass. I don't think that was a forward pass at all. They've got the early hype, and this is why I keep saying to be very wary of this Dolphins team, because the Dolphins team, they are pretty decent the last 2 weeks, but they've still lost. They still haven't made the finals just yet, despite the fact that they've had a really hyped first 3 years, and they were really hyped going in this year, and they're currently closer to the wooden spoon than they are to the top 8. Over the sideline here, that's unbelievable defense from the Panthers. They're up 38-12 with 8 minutes to go, and they've just thrown Fletcher Hunt well over the sideline. That's really good defense there from Penrith. The Dolphins actually haven't done really anything to warrant the crazy hype that they have, but it's because they're the fresh meat in town. I'm telling you, people were really heavily back in the Perth Bears when they first come in. People will love it when Papua New Guinea come in, but you'll see them taper off very quickly. JC Munster combo on paper sounds amazing. JC's a 6 though, so who's if you put JC into the 7, sure, but you've got 2 6s playing in the halves still. Williams says Harry Grant did not lose 6 straight at the Tigers. Okay, what's your point? What is your point? Your point has absolutely no relevance to anything. Blaze Talungi here is at the 18 now on third tackle. Do we really want to talk about Tigers history, bro? I don't know. I think we should focus this year on the Tigers and not on history of the Tigers. Panthers offload out to Blaze Talungi. Talungi gets it across and throws it over the sideline. He throws it over the sideline, so the Knights will get the ball here at the 10. Talungi just trying too much there. Hello, Kimmy says, Panthers go, go, go. I'm the diehard supporter of the Panthers, watching all the way from Mount Hagen. Brother, thanks for updating. Appreciate you all the way there in Mount Hagen, Papua New Guinea. Blaze Talungi trying way too much there, man. The no-look pass is not happening, bro. Yeah, I lag, and I think the guy's drunk. I know William's a Tigers fan, but it just has no context or relevance to anything that we're talking about, and it makes no sense that he would want to talk about Tigers history. Focus on the now, man, is what I'll say. Focus on the now. Let's not be trying to compare. You guys also, mind you, at the time, and you've done this. You've brought this conversation in. You guys gave him a standing ovation for finishing 10th. So I don't think we should be really celebrating and talking about the history. Forgot Grant was at the Tigers. Only Tigers fans would, because they finished 9th. No, they didn't. They finished 10th. Titans finished 9th that year. Dylan Edwards will get this ball to the 25 and out to the 30. 5.5 minutes to go here of the game. Unless I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain the Titans came 9th that year and the Tigers came 10th. That was in the shortened season of 2020, no? They give it to to Brian Tottle, and Brian Tottle brings it out here to the 50 on third tackle. $38-12, 26 point. Well, if you get another tripod past you, you are. Oh, Casey McLean, he's lost the ball. You would be down with the Titans and the Dolphins and whatnot, points differential wise. Alex says, Knights are trash and shit. Screw the Knights, up the Broncos. Also, a really random... Oh, nice. Nearly knocked that ball on there at the 20. Also, a really random comment. Why have we got a Broncos fan hating so heavily on the Knights right now? Jared says, Titans were 9th. You're correct. Tigers were 11th. Tigers came 11th that year. Oh, my gosh. And he got a standing ovation. Oh, they've lost the ball, the Newcastle Knights. And now Blaze Talungi goes to Casey McLean. And McLean, he runs this ball to the 20. Still going. He'll be 18 metres out from the line. Who came 10th that year? Was it like a Raiders or someone like that? Or a Knights? Nathan Cleary, Paul Alamotti, taken down to the 5 on first tackle. Thomas Jenkins, where are you? They've been going down the right-hand side. It's not his fault. Nathan Cleary goes at himself. Oh, nearly goes through for a try. 6 again here for the Panthers. And there's a knock on. So it will be Knights ball at the 10. Alex says, I hate the Panthers. They're going to win the wooden spoon. Okay, your comments are pretty dog shit right now, bro. Like, the Panthers are first position, up 38-12, and we're talking about wooden spoon. Come on, man. You've come in, you've said the Knights are shit, and up the Broncos, and then said the Panthers are going to get the wooden spoon. What are you doing? What are we doing? For Nothing says, how long is left now? 3.5 minutes to go, bro. 38-12 to the Panthers. Oh, the Warriors came 10th. Okay. That's not really a surprise. But for the fact that Harry Grant got a standing ovation that came 11th, it's pretty crazy. Is this Grand Royal Majesty alt account? What's going on? Have you noticed that Grand Royal Majesty's gone a bit quiet? Oh, and they're throwing the intercept to the Panthers, and the Panthers will score. It's 42-12 with the kick to come. Isaac Tungo will score a try, and there is still a slight chance of a Fitty bomb. They will get the kick because it's right in front, but Trey Mooney has thrown an offload. It's gone straight to Isaac Tungo, and the Wooden Spoon Panthers are going to be up 44-12. How about that? How about that? Alex says Warriors won against the Storm 38-13. Okay, firstly, you're incorrect, but also secondly, what are you on? Are you high? Are you high? What are you talking about? What is happening? Have you had too much to drink? It's only 3:44 p.m. in Queensland. It's only like 3:45, mate. Have you had too much to drink? I think he's looking at the ladder upside down. Look at Brian Tuttle dancing over there in the corner. So Isaac Dunker scores. It's about to be 44-12. But it's the same old Knights. Unfortunately, even though the positivity that they've shown this year, unfortunately, it is a little bit of same old Knights right now. Wow, Brian Tuttle, 114. Blake Harler, wash your mouth out. Don't ever tell me to get rid of Brian Tuttle over again. Nathan Cleary is about to hit the 100. He was on 84 at half time, but he is about to just get past the 100 now. Bro was a certified yapper. But 2.5 minutes to go here at the game. 44-12 to the Penny Panthers. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even notice that about the profile picture comparison. That's a good point that you guys are talking about in the chat. Panthers next 5. Manly, Raiders, Dragons bye, and Warriors at home. Very winnable stretch. Wow. Very winnable stretch. Yeah, I think Alex is on some kind of heavy medicine because he's gone from being a Broncos fan to a Warriors fan to a Panthers hater to a Knights hater. Like, it doesn't... His comments don't make sense. We'll see in 5 minutes. 2 minutes to go here. You're a strange one, that's for sure. You're a strange cat. First tackle now for the Panthers, and they're going to be at the 15. 2 minutes to go here of the game. A 6-pointer would get the old Fitty bomb. Knights, I don't believe they had not a 50-point pass them so far. Yeah, bro. Yeah, to be fair, we're doing the government's work there. He said he was 15, and you have to be 16 to use the old YouTube. So we're doing the government's work by timing it out, actually. We're just... really telling the line, mate. Out to the left to play Talangi. And Talangi brings his ball to the 35 on fit tackle. Is the same thing for New Zealand? I know in Australia that's the rules, but like, is it the same thing in New Zealand? They put that ball up in the air. That's a good take by Fletcher Sharp. So I don't think we'll be saying the Panthers getting the old Fitty bomb. Do New Zealand have the same rules with the 16 and over thing? Knights next 5. Rabbits at home, Dragons away, Titans away, but that's for Magic Round. Bye, and then the Parramatta Eels at home. Also, a pretty winnable stretch outside. That Rabbitohs game is going to be tough for him next week, though. Sandon Smith to Jermaine McEwen. 4 tackle, 53 seconds to go here. Deary me, Samuel. I'm going to win by... I might win by dead set 200 in our Supercoach matchup this week. I got a great score in Supercoach draft. 890 is a massive score. That is a massive score, to be fair. Sam, you're going to have a pretty good score and lose, to be fair. Like, your score is going to be pretty good. You still may get to the 800, but it's impossible for you to... Jack Williams is not getting 200 points. But your score's still going to be pretty good. Dylan Edwards, he get the ball at 3, 17 seconds left. If they can break away, take another 15. As someone who's from New Zealand or Australia, why are they called the Rabbitohs, not the Rabbits? You're asking the big questions, mate. Oh, I'm not too sure. But anyway, that's going to be hard. That's going to be full time. Sorry, 44-12 to the Panthers is the final score. They just pumped through the Knights, and that's a 32-point win. So now you'll be minus 34 points differential. Knights, you drop below the Sharks into 10th position, and you have a worse points differential than... Oh, no, sorry, you drop below the Bulldogs as well. Yep. Yep, you drop below the Bulldogs as well. 32 points. You're now minus 34. You're below the Bulldogs, so you're now in 11th position, and you've got a worse points differential than the Dolphins and the Titans. The Titans next week play the Raiders. Dolphins next week play the Storm. Both those teams, it's Raiders and Titans is an interesting matchup, and Dolphins and Storm, I fully expect the Dolphins to come through in that one. So you're in a pretty precarious position to go back into that bottom four conversation. Now you are in the conversation, but you're in a precarious position to go back into that section. So that's a worry, but a good win for the Panthers. They will enhance their massive plus 135 points differential to plus 177, and they are alone at the top of the table. For a very mid-range of the pack average Panthers team that we'll be in trouble for. They are top of the table with a points differential that is about 100 better than everybody else, and they are absolutely flying right now. So we'll see how they keep on cracking on. Next week, the Panthers, they will be going up against the Manly Seagulls, so a very winnable matchup for them, and it's going to be tough to see how that one works out. But Manly play the Eels right after this. We'll be live in 10 minutes' time for that one. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you in about 10 minutes' time for the next game. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.